talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuff and things in Griffin, Basallo. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants. So Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio.
I got to give Intern Jake some credit. This is where I think being an athlete helps. There is no panic. None whatsoever. I've asked him 6 different times since yesterday, you got this? And he's been extraordinarily confident every time.
I'm ready.
Now, whether that confidence proves to be misplaced, we'll find out. But I appreciate the confidence. It's very reassuring that no matter what, he's just like, yeah, I'm good. I got this. Let's go. Who's tell me about the shirt.
It's Grant Wilson. It's Big Bro.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out who Grant was. That's your brother.
It's Big Bro.
Oh, that's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, happy day before the 4th of July, which, of course, Jake knew the entire time was something that was happening this week. He was very aware that we did that on July 4th, was the date that we had that particular holiday. Now, for what it's worth, Jake, I have argued publicly that we should reconsider the 4th of July.
To what?
Just call it Independence Day and do it on a Friday or a Monday every year.
That makes sense.
Now, this year it happens to work out that the 4th of July is a Friday. But some years, the 4th of July is a Sunday, and then you have that awkward thing where a lot of people want to take off on Friday. Other people think that you're supposed to take off on Monday because that's like the government holiday. So it screws everything up. Sometimes it actually occurs on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and there should never be a holiday on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Yeah. It's no good for anybody.
Or your birthday.
I mean, you don't want the holiday to be on your birthday, or you don't want your birthday to be a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. See, that, at your age, yes. You're going to get to an age where that will not matter at all. At your age, understood. But there should never be a holiday on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday because it screws up the entire week. What, you're going to go to work on Monday and then take off on Tuesday and then go? Nope. People are just going to check out, and you're going to end up having an entire country not being productive. This is who we are as a people. Any excuse to shut down for a week, we're shutting down for a week. That's the good news about the 4th of July being on a Friday. And some people have still attempted to shut down for the week this week. Let's be honest. You know who you are, Griffin. Like, you're very aware.
Griff got out of here really early.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it on Tuesday.
Or Wednesday or Thursday.
I saw he was at the Dodgers game last night.
So
he got to see Clayton Kershaw's 3,000th strikeout, which is that's a pretty cool, I'll acknowledge that. I don't think that's the reason he went. I think that was just dumb luck that it worked out that way. But he was, there at the Dodgers game last night.
Good dumb luck, though.
Clayton Kershaw's 3,000th strikeout, which might be the last guy to ever get 3,000 strikeouts.
You think?
I don't think so, but it's just not going to happen like nearly as frequently moving forward. You're not going to see 3,000 strikeouts regularly. But, cool moment last night as Clayton Kershaw got number 3,000. All right, Alex is here. I'm trying to think of who has a chance to get 3,000. Chris Sale's at 25-28. Chris Sale. How old is Chris Sale? Because the way he's been pitching the last couple of years, he absolutely has a chance to get there. He's 36. Yeah, Chris Sale will get the 3,000 strikeouts. He'll get there. As long as his arm doesn't fall off. And with pitchers anymore, you just never know whose arm is going to fall off because it happens all the time. That's the way that it works. All right, now, Alex is here. Coming up today, we're going to talk some Orioles. Connor Newcomb, Locked On Orioles, is going to join us a little bit later on. Sam Dykstra, MLB Pipeline, MLB.com. We will talk about the lack of Orioles prospects on the new Hot 100 list. We'll talk about some other folks within the system. In fact, I guess in hindsight, I had booked Sam ahead of time. Then I saw Baseball America put a different Orioles prospect that I don't think any of us have ever heard of on their Hot 100 list, and so I thought about it, and I was like, maybe I should have gone that way. Maybe I screwed this up. But we'll talk with Sam Dykstra a little bit later on. My friend Malik Hamm, Ravens edge rusher, City College alum. He's going to be part of Show Your Soft Side's Softie Homecoming coming up in 2 weeks from tonight, in fact. 2 weeks from tonight we're doing that. So we'll talk to him about becoming a softie and hopefully getting on the field this year and wrecking havoc after he's been battling some injuries to start his career, which has been a real bummer. And then we'll close today's show by going to Bowie to chat with a member of the Chesapeake Baysox. Today it's Adam Retzbach, their catcher. So all that coming up on the program today. Today's show is brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Lots of big soccer matches. Phew, the U.S. tried to make it interesting last night. Oh, my God. They got up 2-0. You're thinking, like, nah, they're going to roll. And they give up that second-half goal, and you're just, oh, no. Dread starts kicking in. But thankfully, they hold on. Beat Guatemala. Mexico beat Honduras. So that leads to Sunday night in the Gold Cup final. And I'm telling you, for all these big soccer matches, all of these big events, Women's Euro's going on, Club World Cup is in the knockout round, Gold Cup final on Sunday night, the place to watch all of them is Inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel with the 100-foot media wall. Just steps away from the FanDuel Sportsbook to get your bets in. Delicious food. There's nowhere better to be than Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Get there for all of the big events. What was not a big event last night was the Orioles. It was not an event at all because they scored the same amount of runs as you and I did, losing 6-0 to the Rangers. And look, when you looked at the pitching matchups after Monday night and saw that it was Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi, you probably felt like there was a really good chance that this is how it was going to go. Which isn't an excuse and is only part of an explanation. The notion that, well, if you face a good pitcher, you're just not going to be able to score. That just means you're not a good baseball team. I mean, that's what that is. And I get it. Nathan Eovaldi, as well as he's pitched this year, and Jacob deGrom will do that against good baseball teams too. I understand. But the fact that every time we see it, we just say, yeah, this is going to be one of those nights. And it exactly was that, is the sign of a team that's not very good. Compounding that is the Tomo Sagano problem. Where at the beginning of the year, we thought Tomo Sagano was a gem that was discovered by Mike Elias. And, you know, we give him a lot of gruff about a lot of things, but you got to give him credit for Tomo Sagano. At one point this year, would have argued that the two best finds Mike Elias had ever had were the trade that he made for Zach Eflin and finding Tomo Sagano. And now neither one of them do you feel remotely good about. And so, yeah. Compounding that problem is that Tomo Sagano, you were hoping, was going to be a trade asset. We're living in a weird world where Zach Eflin and Tomo Sagano are your top two trade assets, and maybe your top trade asset now is Charlie Morton. I mean, I don't know. But it's been a mess for Sagano. I know the thing that Tony Mansolino said afterwards was that, like, you know, the hitters are adjusting to him. They've got a little more data on him. They've got a little more film on him. And, yeah, that's true. And that is true. He's given up at least 3 runs in his last 5 starts. None of them have been longer than 5 innings, and the one that was 5 innings was the worst of them which was the Friday night start where he gave up 7 runs on 9 hits and a walk, but the Orioles scored runs, so they left him in the game. I mean, this is unmitigated disaster territory over the last month with Tomo Sagano. And, again, it's harmful for any hope. It's a very difficult macro-micro conversation, right? The micro is if you held out any hope that the Orioles really could turn things around and that maybe they could get any sort of momentum from winning a series against the Rays, and there was still time to get back into the conversation. And it's funny because yesterday we had both Ben McDonald and Drew Forrester on the show, and one of them still believed that that needed to be said, and that was Drew Forrester. Ben was like, I think we know. And Ben's the eternal optimist. Ben's the Mr. Positivity. But he was the one that was like, yeah, I think we know the reality. And he's right. It has always been a pipe dream to continue to say maybe they could still get back into this thing. Not because it's impossible. Like, mathematically, you have to keep saying it, but because it's so wildly impractical that it almost feels like you're wasting your breath. Could they? Well, legally speaking, they're not eliminated. So anyone can who's not eliminated. But is there anything that would suggest that? It's the type of thing that we would talk about like after they had swept the White Sox. They've done nothing that actually makes you think that a corner has been turned. And as we constantly say, or I constantly say at least, there is literally nothing predictive about this baseball team. Best win of the year could easily be followed up by the most lethargic performance of the season. Dramatic come-from-behind win could be followed by blown 8-0. I mean, like, there is nothing static at all about this team. And what are the reasons for that? I think there are many. I mean, that's a truly macro question. It's an existential conversation, the reasons for it. Not having a manager, maybe a lack of overall adults in the room, guys that we had simply accepted were ready to be baseball superstars, but we were doing that based off of, like, minimal evidence that just haven't proven to be. Obviously a dreadful offseason. It's all in there. Myriad reasons why we're in this situation, but they're just not very good. It's stinging that they're not very good and they don't really seem to have a lot of trade assets. They're gonna deal certain guys for whatever they can get, almost certainly. There's no real reason for them not to. But are they going to be able to get anything? And if they do, is it anything of value or is it just trading for the sake of trading? As we talked about before, at this point, Zach Eflin's probably leaning towards being a qualifying offer guy and just hoping that he finds the 2024 version of himself. Or somehow gets an offer somewhere else, and then you do get that draft pick compensation. You're veering towards the territory of, like, why are we watching in the second half? And that's, again, a more existential conversation that I can't give an answer to. Now, hopefully it'll be to see Kyle Bradish come back and Grayson Rodriguez come back and see if those guys can look like the best versions of themselves and give you a little bit more confidence. And some of it will definitely be to see if Adley Rutschman comes back, can he look like Adley Rutschman? Like, there's a lot moving forward to next year. The question of whether or not they can compete next year is one that needs to be addressed. But they're just not a very good team. I mean, I wish that wasn't the case, but I can't shake it. The reality is the reality. You do want to take a second and congratulate Ryan O'Hearn. I mean, that's just an awesome story, and Ryan O'Hearn's been a guest on this show a few times and is a great dude. And he was very open about what this would mean to him, the opportunity to be an all-star, and like seeing the video of the phone call with his mom yesterday. That was really neat. Like the Ryan O'Hearn thing is really genuinely cool in a vacuum. And there is obviously still a question to be asked about whether or not Ryan O'Hearn is part of this moving forward. And my gut is probably not. He's probably going to be someone that's dealt, and you hope that's not before the All-Star game. You hope he still gets to wear like his Orioles gear in the All-Star. Imagine if the Orioles get like a great offer for Ryan O'Hearn the week before the All-Star game. And like, what do you do? I guess you can probably work it out with that team. Like, hey, can we make the deal next Wednesday? Can we hold off on this? Like, let him go have the experience. Because, like, imagine it's a National League team. I don't know how that works. I'm sure that's happened before, and I'm just not familiar with it. Like, where a player was in one league. We know that Rafael Devers was the leading vote getter at DH in the American League. Like, Ryan O'Hearn is going to the All-Star game because Rafael Devers got dealt to the National League. Like, that's the part of the conversation we kind of can't talk about, because you don't want it to take away from Ryan O'Hearn. You want to feel good for him. But the reason why he's there is because Rafael Devers is no longer in the American League. So I don't know, now that Ryan O'Hearn's been announced as the guy, like, I have no idea how that works. I would think there'd be kind of like an honor thing within baseball. Like, come on, man. Like, we don't want to do this to him. Like, let us wait a week. But what if he were to get hurt next? If you're a team that's thinking about trading for Ryan O'Hearn and you're willing to make that type of offer, and the Orioles are like, hey, can we wait it out for a week? They're like, what, and let him get hurt? No. God, I pray. I just pray that this doesn't, like, there isn't an actual awkwardness to this, but that everything works out for Ryan O'Hearn. Happy for him. Great dude. It clearly means a lot to him. And again, his story of a guy that was just simply let go and cast aside, and it's not just like, it's easy to say laugh at the Royals. The Orioles also cast him aside once too, but then gave him another chance. And it has obviously worked out phenomenally for all parties involved. Ryan O'Hearn's a hell of a baseball player and a great dude, and you're really happy for him. Jackson Holliday was not as fortunate in that's your guy. I forgot.
That's my guy. Wait, you think they're going to trade O'Hearn, though?
I mean, they got to do one or the other. Either they got to give him a contract extension or they got to trade him. Like, there's no point to just holding on to him without extending him. Yeah. Now, as I said before, I think you're always going to be disappointed. This is the bummer. Like, Ryan O'Hearn is an all-star starter, but I just don't know how much trade value he has, because it's the thing I always say. Everyone's got positionless bats. Mm-hmm. Every team believes they've got their own version of Ryan O'Hearn, which doesn't mean they aren't willing to add your version of Ryan O'Hearn. It's that they're not going to pay significantly for your version of Ryan O'Hearn, because they don't know that there's very few teams for who that's the difference. And we kind of all wanted the Mariners to be the answer to all of these questions. Like, the Mariners just need all of the bats. Like, we tried shipping out Ryan Mountcastle. We tried shipping. Like, we all think the Mariners are just going to be the team that's going to take on everyone's wayward bats. But most teams believe. I said this when it was Trey Mancini, who is available again, by the way. Opted out of his AAA or his deal with the Diamondbacks, and he was hitting the cover off the ball. So, I mean, that legitimately, by the way, there might be a team that was thinking about trading for Ryan O'Hearn, but looks and says, well, Trey Mancini's available right now, and I think we're getting about the same thing. So we'll take Trey Mancini. And I know that it's easy to say he's not, but the point is, you don't have to trade anything for him. You can just sign him. Whereas you have to trade something for Ryan O'Hearn. I think you're always going to be disappointed by the return that you get in a trade for a positionless bat, particularly one with an expiring contract. But if you're not going to sign him, you just got to take what you can get, because there's really no point in holding on unless, again, for some reason, they go down and spank your boys this weekend in Atlanta, and then they turn it into like a 9-game win streak before the deadline, and then all of a sudden we're having a different conversation. But the likelihood of that is so slim that, again, it feels like we're wasting our breath when we say it. Still, congratulate. Yeah, I mean, they could go down. The Braves are a mess. Yeah. They're a disaster. They now Spencer Schwellenbach's hurt. Who they just gave up on Alex Verdugo in order to bring Jurickson Profar back. Mm-hmm. Not a great time for the Braves. Not a great time. I'm trying to give you the signal. That's normally the phone call signal because we have a guest scheduled.
I'm locking in.
It's okay, bud. It's okay. I do still appreciate the confidence. I need you to know that. I still appreciate the confidence. We just got to make sure we're tightened up. You got to remember to check the times, all of those things. Anyway, yeah, the Orioles lose 2 out of 3 to the Rangers, and they're off tonight. They head to Atlanta to open up a series with the Braves, and it is kind of an is what it is situation. As of right now, for what it's worth, they are 8 games back in the wild card race. So, again, if they were to win 6 of their next 9, maybe they go into the break and they're within 5.5 or 5 games or something like that, and you convince yourself that all's good. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But that's the reality that they face. If you haven't picked up this print issue of Pressbox yet, make sure you go do that right now. It's available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of those hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. You can read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. On the cover, you see Carmelo Anthony. We dive into the story of how Baltimore shaped the legacy of the first ever basketball Hall of Famer from our city, as he'll go into the Hall of Fame later on this summer. And we talked to everyone who knew him along the way in order to find out what the role Baltimore played was and what the role Carmelo Anthony has played in Baltimore as well. So that's in this issue. It's also our annual summer travel issue. Go pick that up for free today. Read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. Let's continue to talk some Orioles this morning. You know him as the host of the Locked On Orioles podcast. He's our friend Connor Newcomb, and he's back with us this morning here on GCR. Connor, it's Glenn. It's good to chat again, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yeah, Glenn, thanks for having me on again.
I want to just run a bunch of things by you, right? Like takes, thoughts, anything like that, and sort of see where you are. And I'm going to start with the how did we get here part of it, because I had someone reach out to me about that yesterday, and it's so complicated to me. I feel like the easiest thing people are saying is, well, we got here because of Mike Elias's failures in the offseason. And I do think that is a big part of it. But I don't think it's the only part of it. I think it absolves, like, players of responsibility in all of this. So let's just start from 10,000 feet. How did we get here that this team that had been very good is just suddenly not a very good baseball team?
Yeah, I mean, you're right on that it's a lot of things. I do not absolve Mike Elias of any of it because, on one hand, if this team did have a true number one, I think it would look a little bit different. I think we would have, for the entire season, a guy every fifth day who you could count on to give the Orioles a W. And the O's have had a couple of starting pitchers throughout the season who have been able to give them that, but it's been so crazy to see it flip, right? Like, beginning of the season, right, it was, wow, we're going to win when Sugano goes out there. And, wow, when we have a healthy Eflin, we're going to win when he goes out there. Now it's like
Charlie Morton's the ace.
Other options, yeah. Sugano would be out of the rotation right now, right, because he's been so bad.
A disaster.
And now it's like, wow, Charlie Morton, who was unplayable, is now their best starting pitcher. So you have a lot of that variance as well. And that's where, from the outside, it's really hard to tell what exactly is going on, because you look at a team that fired its manager, and while they've definitely played better since they did that, they are still 12 games under 500. And, Tony Mansolino took over and said, our first goal is to get back to 500. And then I believe Mansolino amended that over the weekend and said, our next goal is to get back to 5 games under 500, which I don't think really does a lot for this team. And I just, you obviously got the thing that happens right after you fire your manager, where you have shock in the clubhouse, and they played a couple of terrible games right after that, and then they kind of pulled it back together. But I also believe that if Brandon Hyde were still here, they probably would have played better, because this team was too talented to play that poorly for 6 months of a season. they were bound to play better in June. They were 16-11 in June. If you do that every month, you're a first-place team and you're winning a division. That's what the Orioles did 2 years ago. They just dug too big of a hole. Obviously, injuries play a part of it. I think Andy Kuska had the stat yesterday, 24 players now with Keegan Aiken going on the IL leads Major League Baseball. They have 14 players currently on the injured list and 24 total this season. That's number one in the league, so you can't really discount that. But it's just hard to say, how much of the underperformance is bad coaching, guys not performing up to their level, the injuries that everybody has dealt with and trying to play through them. Is it guys having, sophomore slump type seasons, or is it developmental issues where guys are maybe not as good as we thought? That's something that's going to take longer to figure out. That's going to take an entire season plus into next year to really see. But you go up and down the list of just looking at their stats page, and the Orioles had so many players overperform 2 years ago when they won the division. I would say 3 players are overperforming right now: Ryan O'Hearn, Ramon Laureano, and Gary Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably it.
Yeah, as long as you only look at Gary Sanchez's offense.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And that's what he's here to do if he's a backup. But now he's got thrown into the starting role, and now his bad catching abilities get thrown into the spotlight because he has to catch 5 days a week and not twice. So that's injuries, right? Part of that is injuries. It's just, and at this point too, like I get seeing them play better baseball in June and getting excited and thinking, finally, 16-11 is a great month. That is a good Orioles team. That is a team we thought. But also, it's not like the 11 losses were, we lost 4-2 last night. 5-4, tough one in 11 innings. Half those losses are like 11-1 also. So they're still just getting blown out when they go out there, and they dug too big of a hole. I get that they still have 4 weeks until the trade deadline, but it's too big of a hole to climb out of. Like, a team has never climbed out of this big of a hole to just even make the postseason. At this point in the year, I don't see it. So whatever happened, it's a confluence of 5, 6, 7 different things. They got to use the second half of the year to just try and at least get it back on the right track and reset for next year.
That's the part that I think has become the more existential conversation that I've been having, which is, and I'll give you the context. The context is I've said, hey, you don't trade away any guys that have control because you need them to be a part of fixing this next year, and this is supposed to be a retool and not a rebuild. But what I have dealt with is that I'm not sure how I feel about this core of players, and if this core is still a core that I believe is close to winning a World Series if they just had a couple of the right pieces around them. What I'm really worried about is that, is this even worse than we think it is? Is this bigger than just a year with bad luck and a poor offseason? Because when you look at Gunnar Henderson, you don't see a superstar right now. You still see a good player, and I get that could change. You have no idea what you see in Adley Rutschman. Jordan Westburg can't stay healthy. Jackson Holliday has been good, and you feel he's on the right track, but certainly isn't a star as of yet. I'm not sure what I think this core of players is, and if I can squint and believe that they're a couple of moves away from contending for a World Series next year.
Yeah, it's concerning too, and I think, Glenn, the concerning part of that is I don't think we're going to get that answer this year, and that is what concerns you. Mm-hmm. Because you have to give these guys a chance. Gunnar Henderson had, if Aaron Judge doesn't exist or Juan Soto doesn't exist, he had an MVP-type season last year. He's now having what I would call a good season so far, but not a MVP-type season where he did deal with injury at the beginning of the year. You're not going to throw away everything Gunnar did the last 2 years and look at this year, which is still a good year, and say, hey, he's just going to be a good shortstop in Major League Baseball. You give him another year to say, okay, who's the real Gunnar Henderson? Same with a guy like Jackson Holliday, right? Okay, now he's going to be 22. He's gotten better each year. Can he get to that status where it's not, hopefully they vote him in, and yes, he is truly an all-star. Can he get to that point? Adley Rutschman finally started to swing the bat better until he gets the oblique injury.
Right.
Now you've seen about a full year of struggles from him after 2+ years of being good. You can't take 1 year over 2 years, so you got to give him another season to at least even it out and see who is the player he is. And I think with the core that the Orioles think they have and that they've shown in the past 2 seasons before this year is that they do have at least a position player core that I think is good enough to at least get near a World Series at the very least. And I think they have to ride that out because that's how I think they approach this offseason. Or the only true hitter they really signed besides, veterans to 1-year deals was Tyler O'Neill, and that was just kind of a straight-up Anthony Santander replacement. And I think it's because Elias saw the rest of this core and said, there's not a lot of gaping holes in this lineup. And I think mostly people would have generally
at the time,
in the ballpark
yes,
agreed with him.
agreed, right.
And instead, Ramon Laureano's done what you wanted O'Neill to do, so that still kind of worked out, and that he's been one of the better outfielders in the American League this year, surprisingly. But otherwise, it was like, where are the biggest holes? And I think with Heston Kjerstad taking more than a step, maybe a leap back so far, that has maybe opened up a little bit more of a hole that potentially Kobe Mayo could fill, or maybe bringing back Ryan O'Hearn could fill. But at this point, you kind of have to wait it out with this core a little bit. I mean, I could definitely get on board with adding another bat this offseason to kind of backfill some of the holes that have been created, and maybe you have to expect Jordan Westberg to miss some time. That's unfortunate that we're at that point, but he's just been so injured. So maybe you do add another bat, but like there's not so many holes to fill. Now the pitching is a different story, but there's not really a core of pitching that's here right now, all that's injured or non-existent. The core we talk about is about the position players, and I just don't think there's a lot of holes in the lineup where, if you bring in a good outfielder, that's great, but are you going to turn Colton Cowser into a part-time player after he should have won Rookie of the Year and after his thumb injury is hitting the ball really, really well?
Yeah.
No, you're going to give him the runway to play all year in left field next season. And so I think they're in a weird spot where they have to give these guys 2026 as well. But your worries are correct, because if this continues in 2026, it's not like any of them have tanked,
right,
except for Heston Kjerstad. But if this continues where they're just like, these are solid major league players, but they're not the stars of a core, you may have lost another season. And now we're talking about Elias losing his job. Now we're talking about a whole redo of the organization, David Rubenstein bringing in new people. You guys are getting, Adley Rutschman's a free agent after 2027. So you're looking at Adley 1 year left before he's a free agent. And then you really get down the rabbit hole. So it's hard to say, hey, how do you fix a team? Well, you bring in better players. The Orioles' best way to fix their team is their current players
have
playing
to be better. Yes.
And that is very scary.
Yep.
That is very scary, because we know they can do it, but they might just not. People always get more excited about the new thing coming in. For the Orioles, it's just like, we kind of have to stay. Now, the pitching side, you can make changes, but on the hitting side, they kind of have to stay the course right now.
Phew, this really is an existential conversation. Connor Newcomb, Locked On Orioles podcast with us. Connor, it's with that in mind that as we move towards the deadline, like Buck was on with me 2 weeks ago, and sort of out of nowhere suggested that he thought that maybe the Orioles' best trade, candidate was Dean Kramer, who just for value reasons, because he has a couple of years of control, and because you see him be really, pitch really well enough that teams could be convinced that they can get the consistent best version of Dean Kramer versus the thing that we've seen in Baltimore for the last couple of years, which is the puzzling, why can't it consistently be a good version of Dean Kramer, that maybe he would be someone that a team would like to come through and really offer something for. And considering your expiring contract guys right now are not getting you much. Like, they're just not. You probably can't even trade Zach Eflin at this point. Tomo Sagano, as you point out, he wouldn't even be in a rotation at the moment if you had other options. Cedric Mullins, you're almost certainly going to trade for whatever you can get, but that's definitely depleted right now. And even if you trade Ryan O'Hearn, he's a positionless bat. Like, everybody kind of has their own version of Ryan O'Hearn. Laureano might have the most value. God, that's crazy. But
I agree with that statement. I think Laureano has the most value, especially since he's a pretty cheap team option for next year, too.
Sure. So the question is, do you consider a Dean Kramer? Do you consider a Felix Bautista? Because they're the guys that would presumably have the most value, could bring you the most. And I don't know how confident I am that you can win next year anyway.
Yeah, I think I'm still more confident they can win next year. I wouldn't do the Felix trade only because I think you'd be selling low, and I think he's going to get better as he gets back from this. And if they really wanted to make that move in the off season, I think it's a possibility. Although teams do tend to overpay for relievers at the deadline, it's kind of a great time to trade them, which is where I think the Orioles also can extract some value from the likes of Gregory Soto and Seranthony Dominguez at the deadline, because teams will always overpay a little bit to try and shore up that bullpen. And Dominguez has been fantastic. I think he could really get them actually a legitimate, at least one player return in a deal like that. But in terms of Kramer, it's funny, every team, whether they want to admit it or not, could use Dean Kramer. He is a solid major league starter, number 4 or 5 guy. He's going to go out there every fifth day. he's going to make 30-plus starts in a season. He stayed fairly healthy over the past couple of years. He's got a wide pitch mix. He's going to have a couple of games where he goes out there and it doesn't go well, but generally he's going to throw 5 to 6 innings, keep you in the game every single time out there. Do you want him to start a postseason game? Probably not, but he's a perfect guy to help you get there, and he's shown that with the Orioles the last 2 seasons. The issue is every team could use Dean Kramer, and no team needs Dean Kramer more than the Orioles. So I just think that it would be tough to deal in, because does he have value? Yeah, I believe he's got two more years after this, maybe 3 more years actually after this, that he is under control. So a team, controllable starting pitching. We saw the Orioles, they went and got a worse pitcher in Cole Irvin, but the value was he had 4 years of team control when they went and got him. It's like, we have a number 5 starter for forever. And that went well for a little bit and then poorly for a while, and now he's in Korea. But Dean Kramer, I think, is just a better pitcher than Cole Irvin, so I think that he's got that going for him as well. I just don't know if you're at the point where you're making those moves. I think if the Orioles traded anyone with more than just the half year remaining of team control, besides like a Ramon Laureano who just has a team option, anybody who's truly under contract, I wouldn't expect that. I just think they're going to go all in for next year. And yeah, you can say Bradish will be back and Wells will be back and Grayson Rodriguez will be back, but do we really know that to be the case for any of those guys at this point? I think you really lose a chance to have a guy who pitches 180 innings of solid baseball that you desperately need on a team like this next year if you trade away Dean Kramer. So you better be getting back a younger starting pitcher who could be ready next year if you're going to trade away Dean. And if you were to trade Dean, you're basically looking for higher upside than him in a starter. But I wouldn't discount what he brings to this team and the stabilizing force he's been for this rotation, basically since he came off the IL in like June of 2022. He has truly been a stabling presence for this rotation ever since then and been one of their most important starting pitchers who's mostly stayed on the field and has avoided arm injuries. And that's maybe the greatest trait a starting pitcher can have in Major League Baseball right now, is not have gotten Tommy John surgery.
No, that's big. It's big. There's no doubt. I feel like, Connor, it's one of those, like, you're trying to do a math equation. Do you feel like you can get more back in value than what it is that you have in Dean Kramer? And that's the type of equation that, like, makes these, Harvard-educated, Yale-educated people that run these front offices now, like, they get off on that type of stuff. But to your point, does that not matter anymore if you can be competitive? Well, it shouldn't. It should be that you should be pointing towards a window and saying, go try to win in that window, but they haven't done that. So, like, it's all, no single one of these factors overrules another factor for me when I have this conversation. Like, I think Dean Kramer can help you, even if he's frustrating, even if he's not consistent. Everybody needs back into the rotation starters. You got to do better than Dean Kramer in the offseason, but Dean Kramer can help too. But am I confident that they're going to do better than Dean Kramer? Am I confident they're going to go out and spend the money that it takes to get an ace?
Nope.
Where would that be coming from? Where would that confidence be based in?
Exactly. And that's both sides of it, where it's like, well, maybe they could get someone who has the upside better than Dean Kramer to trade. And it's also like, they're not going to sign anyone better, so you might as well keep a cheap Dean Kramer around for the next 2.5 years.
Man, it's a complicated conversation, dude. It's such a complicated conversation. I've had the opinion, and again, it's an opinion. I've said that the entire time. I don't think I know anything more than anybody else. But from the moment that they fired Brandon Hyde, my opinion was, we know it's not a good idea to have a lame duck manager ever. So why are you signing up for a year's worth of a lame duck interim manager? And my opinion was, there's lots of good managerial candidates that are out there, and much like you once brought in Buck Showalter in the middle of a season, I think you're well served, particularly because of this young core that you need to see showing signs of being guys again. I'd like them to have a manager and someone who's an adult in the room and might bring in the fear of God a little bit. I don't think they were going to do it. The information I was given all along was that we want to have the deepest pool of candidates available, and say whatever you want to say. But I think this has actively hurt this team, and it's no disrespect to Tony Mansolino, who seems like a really nice guy, but it has felt like this group of young players that are going to be part of this, it requires them having legitimate new leadership, a legitimate new voice, and an understanding of this is how things are going to be moving forward. This is the new Oriole way, if you will.
Yeah, and you talk about this all the time when a team fires its manager. Yes, you have someone different in charge, but generally when you fire a manager mid-season, you are promoting an interim who's already in that dugout. How much can you really change if it's a voice who was already in that dugout? Like the Pirates, they fire Derek Shelton and they hire their bench coach, Don Kelly. So they basically just promote Derek Shelton's right-hand man. How much is really, really changing there? Obviously, the Orioles didn't promote a bench coach, but actually if they had promoted Robinson Chirinos, who I very much don't think was ready for that job, he was at least not on the coaching staff until this year. Manzolino's been on it since 2021, so it's a very similar message. And I think Tony Manzolino's a really good baseball coach, and I think they should try everything they can to keep him on the staff because he seems to do a lot with the infielders. But also, I don't think he's ready to be a manager, and I think he's kind of admitted that as well, that he was thrown into this situation because he had the most experience in that managerial role at the minor leagues when the Orioles made the move. And I don't think the Orioles were ready to fire Brandon Hyde this year. They had such a young and inexperienced coaching staff around him. That's not a staff that's ready to fire Brandon Hyde. A staff with Freddie Gonzalez as your bench coach is ready to fire Brandon Hyde just in case because you have a veteran big league manager on the bench. When you bring in a first-year bench coach in Robinson Chirinos, you're not exactly expecting to fire your manager in May. And I guess that's just how bad it got. And I agree with you with the Buck sense. Like, it was huge to get Buck in there late in that season in 2010 to kind of get a feel for how things were going. And then he could come into spring training knowing he had been there the whole offseason and he had been with these guys a little bit already. And yes, I totally understand the point of we want to get the whole pool. Maybe there'll be guys who won't want to leave their current jobs in the middle of the season. There'll be guys who potentially are looking for different jobs after the year, and we don't think they're candidates now, but they become candidates in 4 months from now. I totally get that. It makes a lot of sense. However, if you can get somebody in here, maybe you can change the culture enough at least where you win some games in August and September, and you start to feel better going in it. Not that you're going to make the playoffs, but you start to feel a little bit better. And that's where I wonder where the O's want to go with this search. I know a lot of people talk about the Skip Schumacher name because he's in the front office with Texas and theoretically would make it easier for him to leave that job and come to Baltimore now. I'm under the assumption he's the manager in waiting for when Bruce Bochy retires in Texas, and that's why he's there. And I think Bochy's maybe got 1 or 2 years left in him. That's why I kind of think he's not really a candidate for the Orioles. So I think there's a lot of guys around the league that are current bench coaches or have been managers in the past who could fit here. But yeah, I think it would be better if they brought someone else in, but I get them saying, well, maybe our best candidate we like right now, it isn't possible for him to leave his current job and come join us in August. But it would they hired Buck from TV, right? He was at ESPN when they hired him, so that kind of worked out well when they brought him in 2010. He wasn't really working a baseball job.
I'm good.
I'm not sure if that person is out there right now for the Orioles that they want to go get from TV somewhere.
Yeah, Joe Girardi maybe, but I don't know that people around here would be very excited about being Joe Girardi. Although, maybe he's the guy. I don't know. It just seems like they need an adult in the room. They just seem like they need a new voice, and also it seems like in a world where you'd like to hope there's a little bit more collaboration moving forward and that it's not just, hey, in Mike Elias we trust because that's kind of gotten you here. You'd like for the next manager to have been around the players for a little bit and have some input to offer in decisions that are made in the offseason. That's where I am with all that. Connor, we could do this for hours. We have barely scratched the surface on everything that's going on. You want to plug Locked On Orioles real quick?
Yeah, sure. Locked On Orioles podcast, wherever you can get podcasts. We're on YouTube as well. If you just want to, for some reason, look at my face while I talk, there's nothing special except for you can just see my face on it. So that's why I'm an audio listener. But if you like YouTube, it's there as well. We got an episode coming out on Friday with Paul Mancano of the Baltimore Banner. We're playing a game I am calling Send Him or Extend Him, where we're going through every single rental player on the team and choosing whether we're going to send them away via trade or potentially try to bring them back for the next good Orioles team. So that's a Friday episode. We have fully pivoted to trade deadline.
No, I completely get it. I'm just trying to think of who I would even at this point argue for an extension. Like I guess I would argue Ryan O'Hearn has earned one, but there's also a math problem there with where the at-bats come from in a world with Samuel Basallo next year. So I don't know. That'll be fascinating. Connor Newcomb _ is how you follow him. Connor, appreciate you, man. Thanks for hopping on this morning. Let's do it again soon, all right?
Will do. Thanks, Glenn.
Connor Newcomb, Locked On Orioles podcast. Appreciate him taking the time for us. All right, when we come back in, we'll spend a minute talking about the fighting world as Alex thinks he's stealing the segment. It's going to be his.
Fans of the Costas Inn, and who isn't? I have some great news. Now there's a second location to go along with 4100 North Point Boulevard. This one is at the Timonium OTB. This is Stan the Fan, and I have been a fan of the Costas Inn and Triantopoulos family for going on 30 years. They're open for lunch and dinner. Same great Costas feel, same great menu and quality food you've been enjoying for well over 50 years. The exact address on your GPS is 2200 York Road, and their phone number at the new location is 667-406-1975. If you're new to the Costas experience, get ready for a real treat. All wrapped up in a new spacious dining room in Timonium at the OTB. If you want steamed crabs, you have them, and the full menu at 4100 North Point Boulevard. The number for reservations there at Costas, 410-477-1975.
This August, the PGA Tour's best are coming to Maryland. The 2025 BMW Championship tees off August 12th through 17th at Caves Valley Golf Club in Owings Mills. See the top 50 players battle it out in the penultimate event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Don't miss your chance to witness world-class golf, fan experiences, and unforgettable moments. Tickets are on sale now at bmwchampionship.com. The BMW Championship, where legends take the lead.
Summer just got a whole lot merrier at Live Casino. Win your share of $30,000 during Christmas in July. Earn entries starting July 1st. Dash in on Saturday, July 26th to be one of 50 winners to unwrap top-of-the-line electronics, home appliances, free play, and other great gifts. Go all in on good cheer at Live Casino. At Erndale Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is.
No Garrett today. It's Jake. Jake's here today, and he wants to steal away one of Garrett's segments. So it's time for us to do this.
It's Fighting Words with Griffin back.
Well, it's actually Fighting Words with Alex Wilson this time around. Fighting Words brought to you today by Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills, Columbia, and Frederick. You know, I've been taking peptide proteins and peptide treatment from Game Day Men's Health for like the last month plus, and I've been feeling great. I'm not trying to say it's like a magic cure and all of a sudden I'm 20 years old. It's not that, but it's just I'm feeling a little bit more like myself. I'm not quite as sluggish as I was. I certainly notice it in the mornings. I definitely notice it when I'm playing tennis. Again, it doesn't change everything. I'm not suddenly running around like, Carlos Alcaraz or anything along those lines. But, like, getting down, it's one of the things you notice as you get older is, like, trying to get down. You just find yourself like, ugh. The idea of, like, even bending over to pick something up just sounds like hell. It's been better. It's been better. That's what I could say. So you're feeling some of that just because you're a man in your 40s. Perhaps you're wondering if you're low T. You're dealing with stubborn belly fat that just won't come off. Maybe you're dealing with performance issues in the bedroom. This is the type of stuff that you don't like talking about with your friends. Nobody likes to get together for beers on a Saturday night and then be like, hey, by the way, the old lady, she's not satisfied with my sexual performance. Like, nobody wants to do that. But it happens. It's not, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. It's just the way that things work when you get older. So call Game Day Men's Health. You can go to their website, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. You can sign up for a free testosterone test. If you're out west, call Game Day Men's Health in Frederick, 240-931-3717. If you're maybe down in Howard County, you can call the one in Columbia at 443-266-3505. And my Game Day Men's Health is the one in Owings Mills. Give them a call, 443-264-4454. I say if you're in your 40s, some men deal with this in their 20s. It happens. If you're dealing with it, give them a call. It's a safe space to talk about it. Figure out if they might be able to help you out. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, Alex. You ready?
Very.
What you got?
All right, so in the fighting world, there was a big UFC card this weekend.
I did not. No.
Why?
Because I've made it very clear. Like the only thing in the last couple of years that got me to watch a UFC card was my boy John Jones. Who obviously is a complicated figure, but I have a long-time relationship with and was always very good to me. So
how'd you know him?
His brother played for the Ravens. His brother Arthur. And John was regularly in town, and I was very close with Arthur. And Arthur introduced him to me when before he was at like the peak. And we became friendly. And then when he would come to town after he became champ, he would like reach out and say, "Hey, would you want me to come by the studio?"
Did he?
And we came by the studio a few times, and we would do events with him. He was awesome about this. He loved we could invite listeners in if they would make donations to area charities. Mm-hmm. And John helped me raise a lot of canned food for area food banks that needed it. Like, he made a serious and that's why I'm forever going to have a complicated, like, it's going to be a very complicated conversation. John Jones is a complicated human being who has fallen short personally a number of times. And I don't pretend like that's not real or that because my experiences with him are positive, that's the entirety of the story. We don't do that. But it does complicate it for me, but that I have all of these very positive things that John Jones did for this place that was not his home, wasn't his brother's home, was just a place where his brother was for a little while, but yet he like adopted it and made it as, did the fight at the arena, the whole thing. Anyway, sorry. Oh. That's the only thing that could get me to...
He's a superstar. It's valid.
It's the only thing that could get me to watch a card.
Speaking of superstars, though,
yes,
you might want to watch some new cards with Ilya Topuria.
I'm aware. I'm familiar.
He is legit.
Yeah.
So he obviously knocked out the fan favorite Charles do Bronx, which he called. He said he would. He said, I'm going to knock him out in the first round, and he did. Everyone kind of knew it. I'd say most MMA fans would have known Charles was going to get finished, but that quickly was that was hard to watch as an Oliveira fan. And if he's not already a superstar, he's one more win away. I mean, like, this guy's legit. The UFC is going to get on him like they got on Connor. Like, they're going to promote his fights. He's going to be a headliner for years to come.
How marketable is he?
Dude, I mean, well, he's got the confidence, which he's not confident like McGregor. Like, he's not like cuss at you in your
cocky,
face.
Right.
He's not as funny as McGregor either. But I mean, this guy's like a legit fighter. Like, he says, he's like, I'm gonna come in there and knock him out.
I dig that. Is he broadly marketable? This is the prop. The UFC has had this issue, and Griffin and I talk about it a lot.
Trying to.
Where it's very niche.
Yeah.
They have sort of found this like Joe Rogan, that group of people, and they've done very well. I don't want to take anything away from it. They've done very well with that group of people. It's the thing that I've said a million times. Like, they have associated themselves with Donald Trump, and that fan base is there.
Yep.
But it has also caused them to struggle to get broader appeal for the brand and for those fighters, because people now just sort of associate them with, well, if you're a UFC fan, you've got to be a Donald Trump supporter, you've got to be a, you got to do check, right?
Can see it.
And so my question is Ilya Topuria someone whose personality would allow him to play? Like, could he have broader appeal than just with people that are already UFC fans? fights.
I think they're trying to, and I think he can. He's definitely not there yet.
Okay.
He doesn't have like the star power,
Mhm.
but in terms of just like the sport, he's a superstar. Like
Okay.
he's gonna be.
I know he's had a hell of a run.
He's gonna be one of the best when it's all said and done, which Joe Rogan said a long time ago. So I'm not gonna act like that's my original thought. But I
Right.
mean, he is, bro. He's good. Put Charles lights out like that, and another statement win. There was also another belt on the line. Alexandre Pantoja fought Kaikar France, and he submitted him, which, again, could have been expected. But Joshua Van, who was another flyweight, won a fight earlier in the night, and then they like brought him into the octagon, and they did like this whole like WWE style
face-off,
which
yeah.
I don't know if I'm liking. I don't know if I like him bringing in.
I mean, they do want to sell fights. Like they do want to do that.
They do, but
is
I mean,
the belief
it's a new thing.
is the belief that Joshua Van should be the number one?
I don't know. He was ranked 14th, but he beat the number one contender, Brandon Royval. No
Okay.
one can beat Pantoja in the flyweight. So it's like a problem. It's like, well, you've got these guys that are ranked, but they know we can't beat them. So
All right.
they do need a new guy to fight. So I'm sure Joshua Van's going to get the title shot just because.
It's interesting.
He fought the day or the fight or two. No, the
Oh,
fight
this is the
before.
one that Griffin told us about. That it was a really quick turnaround.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he beats.
He beat the number one contender. He beat,
All right.
he beat Braden Royval.
right,
Or
well-
Brandon Royval.
It sounds like he probably has earned the opportunity.
I think so. I think that'll be the next fight. And then other news: Gregory Rodriguez, the RoboCop, hit a massive knockout on Jack Hermanson, and then followed up with a cherry on top punch. And people were upset about it. I mean, the guy was clearly out. It was kind of just like the Oliveira fight. So, what's your opinion on that?
I
do
mean,
you look at fighters differently when they get an extra couple punches in when they know that fight's over?
That's tough. That really is tough. If everyone is in agreement, and I'm just not in the world, so I don't know. If everyone is in agreement that he definitely knew, then dude, you're a heel. Like, and honestly, you probably should be suspended, right? Like, truth be told, in a fully governed sport, if everyone that understands the sport can all come to an agreement and say he knew, he absolutely knew the guy was out. Now, had the referee stepped in yet?
He was trying. He was
trying to step in.
You gotta understand.
This
like,
is.
the refs are
I would
told
have to.
I
would have to see it, Alex. Like
I can't show you because
I know, right? We're not going to get kicked off
not again.
Facebook again. It's a very complicated conversation because I do think there's gray area there where like you land a punch and you just want to finish. You want to make sure you finish the fight. Like you want to finish, and so your inclination is to go. And that's where it does become the ref's job to come bear hug you and get you out of the way. But if everyone watching that knows the sport can say, no, that dude knew. He knew, and yet he was gratuitously throwing punches anyway, then I would say isn't – you're not just a heel. There should be punishment for that.
Okay.
But that's a very nuanced answer.
Yeah.
That I don't know because I haven't seen it.
See, I think in the thick of it, like
who is it? You said it's Gregory Rodriguez.
Gregory Rodriguez knocked out Jack Hermanson.
All right, let me see.
There's an extra punch at the end. So here's the thing: like he punches him, the guy like stiff as a board goes down. You know, like you can see him going down, and he kind of like walks up to him and then punches him, which is like the thing where it's like you could have walked off. Instead, you walk up and you get one more. So, you know, you can't really tell these fighters to not.
Oh, it was a Herb Dean. Oh man, that's
Herb always gets a lot of. But I mean, look at the replay. Herb is trying to get there, but that's the thing. These refs have to stand far back because, like, at any point, someone could throw like a spinning kick and the guy moves to his left or to his right, or he like takes a massive step back. The refs can't be in the way, so they have to be as far away from these two as possible. And then when like they see it kind of coming to an end, they'll step closer.
I'm trying to watch it right now.
But when it's a knockout like that, like he's got to sprint from across the octagon. Like it's a moment's notice for everyone. So the refs got to get there too. But
okay, here's what I would say in rewatching it. Like even he seems to stutter for a second.
Like he walks up to him,
like
debating,
expecting that the referee's stepping in,
would be there.
And because he hadn't yet, he was like, "All right, I guess So I probably would be a little bit more defensive. Like it does seem as I watch it, like he's not right on top of him. He slowly goes over, and because nobody had stepped in, he was like, "All right, I guess I better keep the fight going."
No.
It does seem like Herb Dean took a second there.
Yeah,
like
definitely
should have recognized pretty immediately. Like, no, dude, that guy's out.
Herb's also not like the speediest guy ever.
I hear you.
So
All
that's
right.
just
Is there anything else that's really important? Because we have a guest.
Yeah, Ben
coming up.
Askren got a double lung transplant. He's recovering.
I did,
from
yeah,
pneumonia.
I saw that.
So
yeah.
shout out Ben.
But that's good news.
That's great news.
Because we were very worried that
it
was.
did not look good.
Yeah.
They were giving us updates like by the day
Yeah.
at some point. So it was like, not looking good. But apparently his wife said he's doing good enough that hopefully he can give the next update.
And then
great news. And then Jake Paul. Jake Paul got officially ranked by the World Boxing Association, so he somehow might actually win a belt, guys.
But that
you never know.
It would require him to actually fight a fighter, and that's never going to occur. He's never going to do that.
There's a lot of pros that say his career is on the trajectory. Like he could stop. He could be at the peak.
No,
but
I don't know who. If
the guy he fought below him, like before his fight, is like the guy that owns the belt.
What?
Like, the guy who fought before him
on the undercard?
On the undercard.
Yes, they all want the money that would come along with fighting Jake Paul. Like they all want that.
You think they won't put their belt on the line?
I think they would, but I don't think Jake Paul would be insane to actually fight a boxer. He would be insane unless again there was agreement that it would be rigged ahead of time, and that's the part that I don't know, right? Like Floyd, the exhibition he did with Floyd Mayweather was obviously rigged, right?
And Silva.
It was obvious that like, hey man, don't kill me.
Yeah.
We're all gonna make some money. Hey, we're even calling it an exhibition, so like, people can't even be that mad at you.
Yeah.
Just don't murder me, please.
Yep.
And so the question becomes to what length are they willing to go, because there's money involved. And there's always somebody in this sport in particular that's willing to make some money.
Yeah.
But he has not actually the fact that somebody used to be a boxer does not mean that he's on the trajectory. The trajectory would be that you're fighting people that are about the same ability level as you, that are at the same part of their life as you. Yeah. That's the way that you build up. He's not doing that. He's purposely fighting against people that aren't fighters.
Yes, I would agree.
And
for like 90% of his fights. But he did fight Tommy Fury.
Tommy Fury's not his brother.
Split decision.
He didn't fight Tyson Fury. He fought Tommy Fury, who's just a big old tomato can. God.
You're valid.
I'm
just saying it's not impossible. He got ranked by the World Boxing Association.
Which is gross because he hasn't done anything that actually qualifies as boxing.
I've never watched one of his fights live, if I'm being honest. But I have seen the highlights. He's knocking people out.
God.
Some people.
God. Also, over the weekend, the other, as you can go ahead, we're 2 minutes late, sorry. We're wrapping up Fighting Words, and we're going to talk to Sam Dykstra as we move into hour number 2 of the program. For what it's worth, Deontay Wilder did bounce back to beat Tyrell Herndon on Friday night, so he's now won 2 of his last 6 fights. But it's over. It's over for Deontay Wilder. It's just the way that it goes. That's Fighting Words. Good job. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. And maybe Griffin will never get the segment back.
Don't say that.
Maybe he stole it away from somebody else. He stole it away from King Charles a few years ago. So maybe he never gets it back. Into hour number 2 of today's program. Today's show also brought to you, or just a reminder that Stan the Fan Charles gets together with Ross Grimsley, former Orioles pitcher, and Luke Jackson every Monday. This past week, Hagerstown Flying Boxcars manager Shane Turner filled in for Luke Jackson. You can find those shows, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan shows brought to you by the Costas Inn, and the all-new Costas Inn now open in Timonium at the racetrack. Everything you love about the OG Costas Inn. They just don't steam crabs at the new location, but everything else, the crab cakes, the crab soup. Ooh, they've got a great cream of crab there. They also, of course, have those crab jalapeno poppers that I love so bad. Get them at the all-new Costas Inn. New top 100 prospect list. It's easy for me to say. I talk for a living. New top 100 prospect list this week from MLB Pipeline. Only one Oriole on the list. Of course, Samuel Basallo. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about that, he is Sam Dykstra. Sam, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you again. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, thanks so much for reaching out.
Sam, I guess let's start with the good, and the good is the bat of Samuel Basallo. At this point, how Major League ready is Samuel Basallo's bat? How confident are you that he profiles as a legitimate power hitter at the major league level?
Yeah, I like the way you framed that, right? Like, I am confident that he can be a legitimate power bat in the majors right now. You look at the trend lines, how it's gone April, May, June, July. He's coming off a month in June where he slugged 667. He slugged 545 in the month before that. Everything in terms of the data under the hood is really good. He's maxed out with an exit velocity around 116 miles an hour. His 90th percentile is 108.6. This is a guy who makes a good amount of contact in the zone. He chases a little bit much, but again, he's only 20 years old at AAA. Like, that's to be expected. And when you hit the ball this hard, it tends to work out for the guys like that. If they're still squaring up the baseball and the ball's a few inches outside the zone, you'll still take that. The power is tremendous. That comes from the strength. That comes from his size at 6'4". It's more the defensive questions that have kept him out from Baltimore to this point.
So that's the let's go there, right? Is he a catcher? Is he someone that can catch for 50 games and that's okay because hopefully Adley Rutschman looks like Adley Rutschman again at some point, and so you only need a catcher for 50 games? Is he someone that at some point the Orioles need to seriously consider just making him a first baseman and then getting him here if that's what it requires at the start of next season?
Yeah, I mean, it's the ultimate debate for a lot of these guys because they will be major league hitters, but in Basallo's case, maybe a double-A catcher. How do you balance that? I mean, you want him getting the reps behind the plate, and I know, he got a late start behind the plate. He's only thrown out 20% of attempted base stealers, so he's still got work to do back there despite having, by all reports, a cannon of an arm. It's just the other actions that are kind of holding him back. Depends on what the Orioles need. I mean, if they were the Orioles we expected coming into the year, I would get him as many reps at first base as I could right now. But if you're looking for the long-term outlook of the player and this season feels lost, I would keep him at catcher, get him catching 4 or 5 times a week just to improve that aspect of his game. I still think a second-half debut is likely. You want him working with the major league pitchers and using that more as a test for 2026 than hey, you are ready right now. Let's see where you are at the major league level defensively, and then we'll evaluate over the offseason.
It's such a complicated question, right? Because there's been this talk that maybe the Orioles could have this timeshare at catcher moving forward, and it's half Adley Rutschman and half Samuel Basallo, and when they're not catching, they play for. Like, is that even a practical conversation? Like, should we even be I don't even know how real that is. I don't know who's going for that. Like, it feels like at some point you do almost have to commit to the idea of it's not that he can't catch, but he's not going to be the catcher. It's just I don't know how to handle that.
Yeah, I mean, I almost wonder if they would use him at first base and use him almost like a third catcher.
Yeah.
Somebody who could spell somebody if. You always have that emergency catcher discussion, right? If the first guy goes down in the 5th inning, and then what happens if this guy takes a ball to the wrist too? There's value in that, guys who have that flexibility and can swing both ways. But I don't think it's going to be like 81 games for Adley Rutschman. In the best universe for the Orioles, Adley Rutschman is catching 110 games at least a year. Now, I know that's not how it's going to look this year, but he still should be the cornerstone you're building around. And then Basallo is somebody who I would put at first base long term. If he's still going to be on the team and Rutschman improves and comes back around, I would get Basallo at first and swing him through catcher maybe once a week at most.
How concerned should we be that this is it at this point? This is the weird part, Sam, because in a perfect world, you have graduated all of your prospects. You do only have one guy left on this list, but that's okay because those guys are here and helping you compete to win a World Series. And that's what we thought it was going to be at about a year ago at this time. And that's very much not the case right now. So is that just a major league problem? Is everything in the system going about the way that you would have expected it to? Or should we be disappointed that the last couple of first-round picks aren't top 100 prospects and that no one pitching wise is even flirting with this conversation?
Yeah, I mean it's not a great trend for sure. You would want it to be like the Dodgers, right? Like the Dodgers are always competitive at the major league level, and yet continually refill their minor league coiffers. it's fascinating because I want to say with the Orioles, well, they're drafting late. Like, they're not getting access to the Jackson Holidays, the Adley Rutschmans of the world anymore. They're not getting those large bonus pools that allow you to go out and get a Gunnar Henderson either. Like, it's tougher to get good players when you are drafting where the Orioles are doing, and yet the Dodgers do it every year. They are the ones who are internally developing players really well. Like, you would have hoped Vance Honeycutt would take a step forward in the Orioles hitting apparatus. That has not happened. If anything, it's been a step back this year at Aberdeen. You would hope Enrique Bradfield Jr. would be like in AAA by now, and you'd be talking about him in center field ready to take over at any point with that speed. And he's had a hamstring injury this year, but like the power hasn't come around for him. There are some interesting guys lower down, like Nate George is a name. Jonathan Mayo does our Orioles top 30. He was bringing him up to me the other day. And Esteban Mejia, who's a complex level arm, who I heard about in the spring, upper 90s fastball, a slider that's around 90 miles an hour. And I was asking, is that a cutter? And they're like, no, it's a slider. But whatever it is, guys can't hit it. So there are like promising guys way, way down there. But no, it's definitely a troubling trend. And I think if, major league success covers a whole lot of wounds at the minor league level. If they had been exactly who we thought they were going to be this year, it's not really a worry. It's just like, well, this is the price you pay for that major league success, but they don't have that either. So it is a tough time.
Sam Dykstra is with us, MLB Pipeline. They got the new top 100 prospect list. It's available this week. Sam, I want to bring up one name that because it's unfair for me to present this to you because it was somebody else, but there was a lot of hubbub this week because Baseball America put Esteban Mejia in their top 100 prospects list, and a lot of Orioles fans were like, wait, who? Like, wait, what? Like, who is this guy? You just brought him up, and again, it's unfair for me to ask you about somebody else, but like Josh Norris wrote like this overwhelming, like fawning over his velocity and how electric it is. Is that maybe getting a little too carried away, or is his stuff so electric that we really should be paying attention to it like that?
I won't comment on what Josh saw. Josh got to see him on his own. That's his excitement. That's great for him. And as I tell everybody, like, I hope you read all the lists. I hope you read everybody. The best baseball fan is an educated baseball fan who can read our stuff, Baseball America, Baseball Prospectus, and make your own decisions on your fantasy rosters or who you're excited to see when you go to a minor league ballpark. But in Mejia's case, like I said, like in the spring, I was hearing good things about it. But this was a guy who, coming off the DSL last year, walked a decent amount, only had 27 2/3 innings. As we're sitting here right now, he's at 60 innings total for his career, and he's been walking around 5 guys per 9. The walk rate has been 13.1%. That's to be expected for such a young arm. I get that, and the stuff is really special. He's somebody who will go shooting up our Orioles list when we do an update, here in a few weeks. But in terms of like pushing it up such a young pitcher, we've seen those guys break down at times. There's just a lot of risk with a guy who's age 18. There's reasons to be excited. I'm not going to tell you don't get excited. If he goes to single A and you hear about his debut, go see it for yourself. But it's just such a limited sample right now, and he's somebody who isn't pitching deep into games yet. Let's see how the velocity holds. But the ingredients are certainly there.
I want to ask you about 2 guys who have been part of this list, obviously have graduated, but we're kind of confused about what they are. And I wonder, I think that I would say I'm still pretty confident that Kobe Mayo can be the guy that we've talked about. We haven't seen it really yet at the major league level, but there have been some promising signs, whereas I'm really starting to worry that maybe Heston Kjerstad just might not ever be that guy.
Yeah, it's definitely feeling that way on Kjerstad, which was just too bad because I always thought, and I even talked to him about this once, somebody with that left-handed swing in that ballpark just aiming for the street like that. It seemed like he was such a perfect fit for there. But it's somebody who doesn't have huge defensive value, who kind of has that uppercut swing. Major league pitchers seem to have figured out exactly how to work around him and get him off the barrel. And he hasn't adjusted back. So it's been unfortunate for Heston Kjerstad for sure. Kobe Mayo, I am still more positive on. If you look at what he's done in his last 50 plate appearances, like the expected numbers are creeping back above average in a way you would hope for somebody who's gotten this level of major league experience. The bat speed is still really, really good. That's around 75 miles an hour, which is considered fast for the major league level. So we know he's got that in his bag. It's just, is he somebody who can cut down on a little bit of the chase, cut down on some of the swing and miss, and really hone in on his zone. And I think when that happens, you'll start to see some of that power that made us so excited at Norfolk and Bowie and all the levels before that.
Yeah, I agree. And also he looks like a guy that's capable of playing. I know first base. Like I'm going to make this joke. I'm raving about a defensive first baseman, but still, he's actually looked pretty comfortable over there and looked like a guy that fits and that you can live with. To the point with the Heston Kjerstad, like he looks so lost defensively that you couldn't even put him out there to try to hope that he could work through his offensive problems, because if there was a fly ball to right field, you had no idea what was about to happen, and that was what I think was making it so painful.
Yeah, and to Mayo's credit, I mean, I always like guys who are moving on the infield to first base. If you are playing first base earlier in your minor league career, that's usually a demerit in some way, right? So even him as a righty first baseman, he still has that athleticism from third base. We know he had a cannon of an arm over there. If he needs to throw it back over to third for anything, he still has that in his back pocket. There's things to work around for Mayo. That it's not just because he's just kind of big for a third baseman, but that doesn't mean he can't work at first.
Anybody else in the system that like kind of has your attention at the moment? Like anybody that isn't a top 100 prospect? I know Keegan Gillies was named to the Futures game, but he's 27 years old. So I'm not really sure how we handle that. Anybody else in the system that like you're just maybe paying attention to? It's worth someone who it's worth being on everybody's radar.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw out Nate George again. I mentioned him before, but we didn't really talk about him in detail. He's somebody who just got to single A first full year, was a 16th round pick, but I'll tell people to pay more attention to his signing bonus, $455,000, well above slot for rounds 11 through 20, and that's because they wanted to bring him in. They believed in what they had in him. He's up to 23 steals already in 39 games, so he kind of fits that mold that I thought the next page of the Orioles system would be, which is just really fast guys and taking advantage of some of the steal rules. So he's done that, but he's slugging above 550 everywhere he's played too. I mean, there's some power in that bat as well. The Orioles are very excited by him. He could be that power speed option. We'll see how the hit tool kind of tracks as he moves level to level. So far, so good. But Nate George, definitely somebody to watch.
All right, and then because you brought up Bradfield earlier, is there any world to you where we're all presuming they move on from Cedric Mullins, right? Like that, I think, is fait accompli at this point. Is there any world where he's ready early next year, or is that too bullish given the injury and given what we've seen from him?
No, I think that'd be right in line. I mean, we'll see how the second half goes, and he's at Double-A now. Anybody at Double-A, I would consider, should be ready for the major leagues at this time next year, at the very least. The more he moves off that hamstring, as somebody who is such a big speed guy, I would hope that we're going to start to see him steal more bases. With somebody who has missed time, I go to Arizona for the fall league every year.
Yeah.
If somebody gets injured, there's a part of my brain that always goes, are we going to see him in the desert? Maybe we do for Bradfield. I mean, that would kind of be the perfect opportunity for him to make up for that lost time and prove to the O's, like, I'm good to go. Like, everything that was dogging me in the first half, I can move beyond. He kind of has that Chandler Simpson problem of there's not a ton of power here. Now, he has more power than Simpson does. Simpson is bottom of the barrel power, and he's a better defender by far.
Yeah, but he can also just hit a ground ball to second base and be on first base. Chandler Simpson.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Bradfield, he's not going to be that level of fast, but he's going to be close.
Yeah.
Like those guys were neck and neck last year for a lot of the year in stolen bases. And there's value in that. And with the glove, like if Simpson was a better fielder, he would have been up with the Rays much sooner than he was.
Sure.
But he's an adventurer out in the outfield in the way that Bradfield isn't. Bradfield makes highlight catches, it feels like, week to week. So he's somebody you could plug up the middle. Is he necessarily like your starting center fielder on a World Series team? I think there's going to need to be some serious improvements on the slugging side for that to be true. But, there are the pieces there. As long as he's healthy by spring training, he should be in that conversation if they are moving on from Mullins.
Sam, great stuff, man. What can we plug for you?
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky mostly these days, Sam Dykstra, MILB. We have the weekly minor league baseball podcast, The Show Before the Show, that comes out normally on Fridays. We're going to be coming out with the show today on Thursday just to get everybody ready for 4th of July. And then I will be in Atlanta late next week for Futures Game, Draft, everything that happens in that week. There's a ton coming to MLB Pipeline, so check that out, MLB.com. Orioles.com/pipeline.
Excellent. Sam, really appreciate it, man. Have a great holiday. Thank you for spending time with us this morning. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Sam Dykstra, MLB Pipeline, MLB.com, MLB Network. Appreciate him hopping on with us. Yeah, that caught a lot of people off guard. And again, it's unfair because I'm bringing it up in the context of this conversation with Sam Dykstra. I promised we would have invited Josh Norris on, but we already had Sam Dykstra scheduled for today, and so it was going to be a little bit redundant, and it's unfortunate just because now I'm going to be off for the next week and a half. But Esteban Mejia popping up on Baseball America's top 100 prospect list was wildly out of nowhere. Was very puzzling, but you hope that what they're seeing is real and that the Orioles, again, the investment that they've made in international signings is going to start paying off significantly in the coming years. You're hoping that's the case, but they were so far behind in the process that we kind of always knew that it was going to take a little while for them to catch up and get somewhere where those players were starting to make an impact. So hopefully that is a sign of things to come. All right, still to come this morning, we will make a trip to Bowie, chat with one of the members of the Chesapeake Baysox, and also when we come back in, Malik Hamm is going to join the program, Baltimore native, Ravens edge rusher, so that's on the way. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
We got no sound. Hold on. Gotta figure out what happened.
All of the confidence.
Wait.
All.
3.
2. Yeah.
1.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, we celebrate the first ever Baltimore basketball player to reach the Naismith Hall of Fame as we talk to those who knew Carmelo Anthony best about how his Baltimore upbringing shaped his legendary career. Also inside, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens second-round pick Mike Green, and find our annual summer travel section with information on some of the best sporting events and activities in Maryland that your family can check out all summer long. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Calling all athletes and families, don't miss Football versus Football, a free sports and wellness festival Saturday, July 19th from 10 to 6 at Baltimore Peninsula. Meet retired Ravens, other former NFL stars, and pro soccer players. Join youth sports clinics, get free health screenings, and enjoy food, music, and family fun. Powered by United Healthcare, presented by Sports Legacy Group, and supported by University of Maryland Orthopedics and 1-800-GAMBLER.
For fans of the Costas Inn, and who isn't? I have some great news. Now there's a second location to go along with 4100 North Point Boulevard. This one is at the Timonium OTB. This is Stan the Fan, and I have been a fan of the Costas Inn and Triantafyllos family for going on 30 years. They're open for lunch and dinner, same great Costas feel, same great menu and quality food you've been enjoying for well over 50 years. The exact address on your GPS is 2200 York Road, and their phone number at the new location is 667-406-1975. If you're new to the Costas experience, get ready for a real treat. All wrapped up in a new spacious dining room in Timonium at the OTB. If you want steamed crabs, you have them, and the full menu at 4100 North Point Boulevard. The number for reservations there at Costas, 410-477-1975.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. Today's show also brought to you by the Maryland 5-Star, which is back at Fair Hill in Cecil County this October. And you can, if you've never been before, take in every aspect of the event. It's not just the Triple Crown of Equestrian, a world-class, truly one of the top events on the globe in the entire sport. And Saturday is always a great day to go because that's race day. Like, if you're not familiar, it's breathtaking, man. Like, you see these jumps that they're doing. You're just like, what the hell? Like, what in the world? It's always blown my mind. But it's not just the equestrian aspect of it. It's like this fall celebration, this fall festival in Cecil County, the Food and Wine Festival, great shopping, Corgi Cup, ponies, the whole deal, man. Really encourage you if you've never been before. Get to Maryland5star.us. That's 5-star, the number 5. Maryland5star.us in order to get your tickets for the Maryland 5-Star. Jeff, to answer your question, the rest of the All-Star announcements will be this Sunday at 5:30. So, like Jackson Holliday or Ramon Laureano. I can't think of an Orioles pitcher that would have a chance to be an All-Star. I think those are the list of options, are Holliday and Laureano. We'll find out on Sunday. The Orioles aren't very good, and so I don't know how inclined. Like, does it matter that Jackson Holliday was a finalist? I haven't. I apologize because this, Jeff, just thinking through this, I don't know who else might be a second baseman that might be another team's only option to be an all-star. Or an infielder in general that might be another team's only option to have an all-star. We already know the Athletics. It's interesting. The two of the bad teams already have all-stars because Ryan O'Hearn is already an all-star for the Orioles, and Jacob Wilson won the vote and over Bobby Witt Jr., and we know he's going to be an all-star for the Athletics, so they already have representation. Unquestionably, Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be an all-star. Like, so you start doing the math. Is there room between the guys that are unquestionably deserving of it and the guys that you have to take in order to make sure somebody else, every team has a representative? And so you get to a point where I just don't know. I don't know if Jackson Holliday is going to get the nod or not. It might be that Jackson Holliday needed to be voted in. Ramon Laureano, very under the radar. He's been great, but extremely under the radar. So given the sheer number of outfielders that are having exceptional seasons, I would kind of be surprised. Might be someone who, you know, a couple of players bag out due to injuries, then maybe Ramon Laureano could be in the mix. I just don't know if we're going to hear either of them. Like, the Orioles have an all-star, and so it might very well be that they just sort of say, well, they got their guy. I guess it's the Yankees staff that puts together the all-stars. Like, they've got their guy. We don't need to make anybody else an all-star, and neither Jackson Holliday nor Ramon Laureano is so overwhelming that we've got to make sure they have a spot. But we'll find out, yes. Sunday at 5:30 will be the announcement of the rest of the all-stars after the starters were announced last night. And from Dave says, sorry. What happens if the Orioles? Oh, okay, got it, Dave. Sorry. If the Orioles really go south, is essentially what he's asking. What happens if they really go south? Is it possible that they also fire Mansolino? No, I don't. No. I think they're inclined to want to keep Tony Mansolino in the next. I think they want him to be on the staff. Now, I would not make that a requirement of whoever you hire as your next manager to say, well, we've got guys on staff that we want to have that you've got to keep. That better not be the case. But no, I don't think they're going to fire Tony Mansolino. If they were to hire a manager, which I still don't expect them to do, I think it would be a slow roll. Bring the manager in now, let him see everybody he has around him, and then at the end of the year, he can make choices. Does he want to keep members of the current staff? Does he want to bring in his own guys? But no, I don't see Tony Mansolino being fired. Even if they were to hire a manager, I think he would remain on the staff the rest of the year. All right. I'm really excited because you guys know how much Show Your Soft Side means to me. It's in a group that I've been involved with for, I don't know, it almost feels like a decade at this point. And the work that they do for the animals in our community is remarkable to me. And a couple years ago, I was so excited for our next guest that he had the opportunity to break through with his hometown team. And I just asked him, hey, man, would you think about being involved with this group? You know, obviously Eric DaCosta's been involved for a long time, and Ronnie Stanley's very involved, and Pat Ricard, and the Ravens legends like Torrey Smith. And he jumped at it, said, absolutely, man. I will be, whatever you need, I'll be there. Love this guy, City College's own, Baltimore native, and Baltimore Ravens edge rusher. Malik Hamm is with us this morning here on GCR. Malik, it's Glenn. It's great to catch up with you, brother. Hope you're having a great summer. Thank you for taking the time for us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely,
buddy.
buddy.
Talk about Softside.
Dude, I didn't, it's so funny because when we talked the first time, you were so like, yeah, man, I'm in. And then I found out, you weren't even, a big animal guy at the time. But the passion that I saw from you and, the fun that you had being a part of it, can you put into words why you were so gung-ho about it and what it meant to you to be a part?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not really a big animal guy myself, but I just like the opportunity to kind of, I feel like a lot of times we end up forgetting about, animals, whether they end up stranded or whether something happened to them, whether they're rescued or not. And, I just thought it was a good opportunity, to help out where I can to, get homes for those animals. And I just thought it was a good opportunity.
I mean, dude, that's exactly what it's all about, right? I know you did a photo shoot afterwards too, correct?
Yeah, I did. It was nice being able to, see different types of animals. A lot of times when you see people with dogs, I always ask them, what kind of dog it is. And it was just nice to see, the different breeds of dogs and stuff.
I was going to ask, did the photo shoot make you think about it at all? Did you think, maybe I could be a dog guy?
Yeah. My girlfriend, she always wants me to get a dog. But, I mean, to be honest, it's not really my speed, but it was nice. I like being around animals. I think it's more of the, the everyday upkeep.
Yeah, I mean, it's real work. Right, correct. Yeah. It is one thing when you can just, go cuddle, a bunch of animals at an event. That's cool. But then you can give them – it's another thing when, oh, right, now I've got to make sure I take care of it. And if I'm going on – my wife and I, we have both a dog and a cat. And, we're going to the beach next week. And, the amount of effort we've had to put in this week to, line up to make sure everything is okay for next week is just kind of overwhelming.
Yeah. No, exactly. But there's some people out there who actually like that, and that's their thing.
And we need to find those people. To your point, right?
Exactly.
We need to connect them with the animals in our community that need to be adopted. And so I'm so glad. It meant the world to me that you were so gung ho about it. We got an event coming up on July 17th. It's called Softie Homecoming. We Show Your Soft Side, and folks like Malik and lots of others who have been involved. You maybe are familiar with Project Runway, which we do every other year. This event will be at the Marriott Owings Mills Metro Center. It's a very similar concept. There will be animals there that need to be adopted, plus great food and drinks and networking. But it's all in the name of let's raise money and let's get animals adopted. So I'd encourage you right now to go to showyoursoftside.org in order to find out more about Softie Homecoming, and we will link up to get tickets on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio as well. And you can show up and do that. How do you feel about being labeled as a softie, right? Because, like, you know, I guess given that, like, a guy as tough and badass as Ronnie Stanley, like him being a softie, Pat Ricard might be one of the toughest human beings on the face of the planet. I guess there's not really, like, the connotation of being a softie. It's okay to be a softie if, like, some of the toughest dudes in the world are softies.
Yeah, as long as you get in between the lines and you turn into you ain't a softie no more, that's all that really matters.
Did you know, like, how, like, when you got involved with us, did you, like, know that side of, like, Pat and Ronnie at all? Or did that, like, kind of catch you off guard, like, oh, Pat's a cat guy? Like,
I definitely didn't even know. I didn't know how much Ronnie was involved or Pat.
Dude.
To be honest, until I got there and they was all in for it. I was like, oh, it's good to, you know, see a different side of him.
Ronnie cares. It's like his life, what he does with dogs, man. Like, it is really powerful to see how deeply he cares about dogs that are in need. And if y'all don't know about the Ronnie Stanley Foundation, you should check it out because it'll move you, like, how much that is a passion of his.
Yeah, how much time and effort you put into it.
Really? I mean, like, it is like a second job almost, the way that he, like, invests in that. Oh, that is cool, man. I guess let's get caught up on you, right? Like, I think the important question, how you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I'm ready for training camp.
I figured that was the case. I know it's been tough, right? Because, like, we got to see 2 years ago you just ball out and look the part and turning heads. I can only imagine how difficult it's been. What do you do to stay positive, to keep the right mindset, to know that your time is going to come to be able to show everybody who Malik Hamm is?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've just been, you know, leaning on my teammates and, you know, just thinking positively. You know, I feel like that's the biggest thing. Just don't let the negative thoughts, you know, insert your head, and just keep focusing on the positive things that's happening. And eventually, you know, you're going to look up and you're going to be right where you want to be at. Do
you feel like, in a way, like I don't want to, when you get on the field, you're going to technically, legally, going to be a rookie, right? Like, just because that's the way it's going to go. Is there a world in which there could be a benefit for you that you've had 2 years of being in the NFL and being around these guys and being in the building, and that you'll be advanced when you do get on the field because of it?
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. You kind of get to learn. You get to learn from guys like, you know, Roquan, Calvin, or you get to learn, you know, what the NFL is like, what it takes to be good, what's the right way and the wrong way to do things. So, of course, you know, with time, you know, I got all that experience. And you can just let it show on the field. That's all that really matters.
I love that, man. Are you the type that, like, you're itching, like they're gonna, you know, you can't. I'm gonna get balls to the wall as soon as I get out there, or have you already learned, like, hey, you got to take it easy. You can't push yourself too hard. You don't want to end up, like, you know, again, going through like an injury situation the way that you've gone through.
Nah, for sure. You always, once you get on the field, you gotta go balls to the walls. That's just, you know, how we operate with the Ravens. But, you know, you definitely do got to take your time in terms of just knowing that you can't be impatient in the opportunity that you got. You just got to let it come to you. And when it does come, that's when you got to go balls to walls.
You mentioned the guys that you've been around, right? And, like, Kyle Van Noy stands out to me because, like, his story is incredible. Like, he was written off a couple years ago. Like, he was.
Yeah, exactly.
What have you, like, learned just from being around guys like that? Like, what's something that immediately you've taken, whether it's on the field, how you carry yourself? What's something that maybe you've learned from being around a guy like him over the course of the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think for him, the way he prepares for the game, like mentally, especially, like, I can tell you, like, he knows what type of block he's about to get. He knows, you know, the situational stuff. He knows, like, what to do in every situation. And in terms of he's just a baller for sure. Like, he just knows football.
There's no doubt, man. It is so cool. It's so cool to see the way that it's worked out for him. What about the aspect of it, like, where, like, there's always competition, right? Like, there's nothing's promised. You know, this is the NFL, obviously. And these are guys that are your teammates, but you might also be competing against them to get the opportunity to be on the field. Like, what's that dynamic like? Is it, you know, do you have to remind yourself of that? Like, I love these guys, but, like, I got to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I just take the mindset of, like, you want to be the best player that you can be, and you got to believe that your best is good enough to make it out there on Sunday. That's kind of the mindset that I've taken, you know, my whole life. You know, going to a small school, you kind of already been written off at that. So you just kind of got to take the mindset of you want to be the best player that you want to be, and you got to believe that your best is good enough to get you out there.
The confidence that this organization has shown in you, right? Like, every time, you know, somebody asks John Harbaugh about, like, dude, Malik's time is coming. Like, we know. What has that meant to you, that this organization, the one that you've been watching up close and personal for your entire life, has such confidence in you, to your point, as an undrafted, smaller school guy, that they know you have the chance to do this?
Yeah, I mean, it just sort of affirms, like, the belief that I kind of have in myself.
Yeah.
And it just lets me know that, you know, you just got to keep working to, you know, get that opportunity. It's not like you expecting, like, just, you know, with my situation, I wasn't coming in expecting to get every opportunity, but I was expected to, when I got the opportunity, to take advantage. And that's just what I'm trying to do right now.
I love that, man. I'm so happy for you. The other part of this, like being involved with Show Your Soft Side, what stood out to me, and I remember we talked about it at the time, like doing it for your city, and taking care of your backyard. Like, can you put into words how much it has meant to you to be here, to be a Raven? And I know that's part of why it is that you wanted to get involved, is because, like, you want to care about this place as much as it. Like, if outsiders are going to care about this place, we better damn well care about this place.
Nah, for sure. I just think, like, to be honest, like, the past 5 years, I just seen it shift. And, you know, Baltimore itself, like, you know, in high school, we kind of went through a rough patch with, you know, murders and crime and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like these past 5 years, we've been on a rise in terms, you know, we had the lowest amount of
homicides. Yeah.
In the first 6 months, which is big. No, you can't let nobody tell you that's not a big thing. Like, that's a big thing. You know, just with other stuff in terms of recognition in the media from, you know, our food, you know, our culture and all of that. And I just want to help, you know, keep uplifting it. And, you know, the Ravens also just all winning we kind of been doing the past 5 or 6 years. It's just all been helping us, you know, elevate. And, you know, you just want to keep that going. You don't want to make that stop and then we kind of start to revert back to what we've been. You know, we just want to keep growing.
I love that, man. I love that about you and how much you care, dude. And that's why it meant the world to me that you were like, I'm in. I want to be a part of this thing. I want to do positives for my community, and we're so happy about that. All right, so my right now we got my producer today. His name is Alex. He's a lacrosse player at Stevenson. All right. If you were to go back out on a field today, could you play like at a level like maybe like I just say because that's D? Could you play at like a D3 lacrosse level if you went out and played today?
Oh yeah, like I feel like it's no. I'm not trying to say it like you know, but I mean I was at attack, so it's not like I'm gonna go out there and be a midfielder.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot to try.
But I mean, I think like in terms of like I got bigger since high school, and I kind of used to just
bully
play like Shaq in the paint. Yeah, I was at the X, and I used to just run up, boom, take my little dunks right there around the crease. So I could, you know, it's going to take some, you know, get back with the stick in my hand, you know, get my stick work right. But I think it could be a possibility. I ain't gonna knock their craft though. It's gonna be hard though for sure.
You ever watch these dudes play sixes where they're getting up and down the field the entire time? Could you imagine at your size having to try?
Nah.
Right.
I remember in high school our midfielders used to run. No, actually, in high school I remember I was at a tag, and you know how when you're in a game you kind of your adrenaline start running. I had started chasing somebody, and I had exchanged with one of my midfielders, and it was for a full 2 minutes. And once I was done, I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "Oh man."
Alex is a shooter. He's a lethal threat on the he's been running on the extra man, and he can finish.
Oh, yeah.
He's a finisher,
Yeah,
man. He's a legit. He can play, dude.
I believe it.
Malik, we can't wait to see you again. ShowYourSoftSide.org is the website. Get your tickets for Softie Homecoming. It's 2 weeks from tonight. We're going to be at the Marriott Owings Mills Metro Center. Great food, drinks, a chance to say hello and meet wonderful softies like Malik. Malik, so happy for you. Can't wait to see you there, and obviously can't wait to see you out on the field. Thank you for spending the time with us this morning, man. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys for doing this.
Absolutely, dude. Malik Hamm, the Baltimore Ravens, Baltimore native as well. Appreciate him taking the time. All right, if he's still calling, grab him. If not, then I think you should be able to call him back on that number. You should be able to do that. You should have the our next guest was calling in a couple minutes early, and so this is something that, again, Alex has never been through this. He's never seen this particular phenomenon, and so he's trying to do a bunch of things at the same time. Malik Hamm, appreciate him spending the time with us. Now, you should be able, there should be missed calls. Yeah. There we go. That all worked. Look at how it all worked out in the end. Look at how it all worked out in the end. Again, thank you to Malik Hamm, and ShowYourSoftSide.org, again, is the website. All right, let's switch gears now here on GCR. Time for us to head to Bowie to chat with a member of the Chesapeake Baysox. And our guest this morning is a catcher for the Baysox. He is Adam Retzbach, and he is with us now here on GCR. Adam, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Let me make sure I have it right first. Is it Retzbach?
Yes, Retzbach.
Oh, man, I was so nervous. I had a lot going on this morning. I forgot to remind my producer to ask you before we came on. Adam, first of all, really appreciate you taking the time for us. Walk me through this year, getting to spend the entirety of the year. You got a little bit of a taste of the AA level last year. How comfortable did that make you coming into this year? And how good do you feel, not just offensively, but the complete version? Everybody talks about how the jump from high A to AA is the biggest jump that you make in the minors. How comfortable are you with the I belong aspect of this?
Yeah, that's definitely a huge part of it. You got to have confidence in yourself every time you step out on the field. So to be able to go up to AA for a few weeks at the end of the season was really nice. Just get kind of a taste of it and understanding of what the game looks like at this level. So going into this year, feeling a lot more comfortable with all that stuff. Just I got a lot of friends on this team. We have a good group of guys in the clubhouse, and that definitely makes everything easier as well.
Yeah,
so it's been really fun.
Yeah, getting to know obviously that helps a lot. Adam, I'm an old school guy, right? So when I look at your numbers, there's the part of me that's 244. I don't know, but I also know that I'm not supposed to care about that anymore. That baseball has changed. And then I look and I see that you're OPSing 753. I'm like, well, that's got to be encouraging, right? I'm not trying to suggest that everything's perfect, right? But where are you, old school versus new school? Do you say no, I need that batting average to tick up a little bit more, or is the priority if I'm getting on base, if I'm hitting the tar out of the ball when I get the chance, those things, that's what I want to prioritize, and I am very happy with where I'm at offensively.
I think batting average still does hold a little bit of value. It can tell you a little bit about a player, and I want my batting average to be as high as it can. But at the same time, with my profile as a player, I need to hit the ball hard, and do damage and slug. And sometimes, unfortunately, that's going to come with a little bit of a sacrifice of maybe a higher batting average where you're putting the ball in play a little bit more, but not hitting it as hard. But with who I am as a player, I need to play to my strengths, and that's hitting the ball hard and trying to walk a little bit more. So, yeah, I mean, I do care about my batting average. I want it to be as high as it can be, but at the same time, I want to be who I am as a player.
Well, and I think the other thing that jumps out at me is how much you offensively have progressed from like level to level. Like it's supposed to get harder as you move up in the system, but you've just gotten better and better offensively. Where has that come from that we're sort of getting the best offensive version of you as you've reached a higher level?
I think one thing that I do a good job of is I'm very aware of what I may struggle with and what I'm good at. So after the last season, which I got hurt in 2023, so I missed a lot of time, and then in 2024, that was really my first full season, so I really got a good understanding of where I needed to improve. So I went into this off season, had a full off season myself with no rehab or anything, so I had a lot of time to work on what I needed to work on and really build my swing and my whole offensive approach to the place it needed to be to compete at the Double-A level.
When you say that, was it like a complete overhaul of your swing? Like was that, or was it just tinkering?
I wouldn't say like a complete overhaul because it wasn't like anything outrageous. But if you do look at video, like my swing does look a lot different. My stance is a little bit different. So it does look a little bit different, but it took a long time. I started hitting in early October, which is pretty early for an off season, and I really just wanted to get to the place that I knew I needed to be because what I was doing last year and previously in my career just wasn't going to work.
Was that easier to do because, to your point, the injuries, the struggles that you're having offensively? When that conversation comes up, are you able to be like, yeah, I'll listen to anything, right? Like I got to get this thing going. Or presuming this is what you've known in your entire life, was there still a little bit of like I'm not so sure?
Yeah, you really got to be open to suggestions at this point because you just keep doing what you're doing and you're stubborn, then it's not going to be good for your career. So I sought out some help from some of our coaches here, and I worked with them through the course of the off season, and even during the season, I've continued to work with the coaches and really trying to nail down the best version of myself. So I was very open to changing my swing because I was very aware that it was not going to play anymore.
I understand that, and look, obviously it's paying dividends, right? Like now you don't tinker with it at all. You just keep it going at this point. We're chatting with Adam Retzbach of the Chesapeake Baysox. He is with us here on GCR. Adam, what's gotten into Trey Gibson recently?
Trey has always been a very good pitcher. I caught him last year in Aberdeen, and he throws his off speed so hard. I mean, he's got a really good fastball, but his off speed offerings are very, very hard. I mean, he's throwing his curveball like 85 miles an hour sometimes.
Wow.
His cutter's not on. I mean, he can really throw the ball hard, and it really gives batters fits both sides of the plate, and he's nasty.
Now, you didn't catch him last night, correct?
No, that was Silas.
Okay, right, because that was doubleheader yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So how are you guys with like superstition? So for those that don't know, Trey throws 7 innings of 1-hit shutout ball last night, like just dominant. Does he then say like, bro, you're not going to be catching me again for a while? Like, how does that work?
I mean, I don't think he's that superstitious. I think he maybe has other superstitions.
Okay.
Trey, Trey is just an outstanding pitcher, and we have 3 good catchers in New Silas and Creed, so I hope he has confidence in all of us. But yeah, he was dominant last night. That was fun to watch.
I know that's been a split for you. Like, you've actually done a little bit less catching this year, correct?
Yeah.
So, like, can you walk me through what, like, again, this has got to be a tricky part. Catching is a part of who you are. Is that a tough thing to go through? Or, like, is that maybe to the point why, like, you got to embrace, I've got to get a little bit more out of the bat because I don't know that if I'm definitely I got to imagine that's a difficult thing to go through at this point in your life, to not know for sure where your profile is going to be.
Yeah, going into the season, I mean, Silas and Creed are two really good players, and they're both my really good friends. So going into the season, I knew that they were going to be the top two catchers, and I was going to find time in between those guys catching. So I was aware of it, and I knew that was just going to be the case, and I was going to make the most of whatever opportunity that I got. So whether it's playing first or DH and catching once or twice a week, it is what it is, and I just want to play no matter where.
I appreciate that.
I want to be on the field, and I just want to play. I love playing, and whatever that looks like, I'm going to try to make the most of my opportunity.
I appreciate that. I know that's the only thing you can only control what you can control. I understand the way that works. Adam, so are you familiar with the thing that's happening that you guys see? I'm sure that everybody had a lot of fun with the Oyster Catchers thing this year. I'm sure that everybody got a great kick out of it. But now it's been spun, and it's turning into a huge positive, and I love that. Are you familiar that you guys are playing in Erie and that they're doing like a whole thing involving the John Oliver show from HBO? Are you aware of that at all?
I saw that John Oliver picked the Erie Seawolves to do something with, but
yes.
I didn't know that we were going to be there when they were doing it.
You are playing against the Erie Moon Mammoths, and you guys are going to be the Oyster Catchers for this game. And it's my favorite thing ever. I love this. Are you into this type of stuff? Or is it more like, dude, I just play baseball, whatever jersey they hand me, I don't care. I don't give a rat's ass about any of the rest of it.
It's pretty funny. I mean, some of the uniforms are pretty cool. We don't get to keep the jerseys, but we do get to keep the hats. So
okay.
Sometimes if there's a cool alternate uniform, they'll have a cool hat that we get to keep. So that's a good part of it. If you get
What's been your favorite one so far going through the minors? What's like the hat that maybe you'll actually choose to wear sometimes when you're just like going out to hang out with the guys?
I don't know. I think last year's 4th of July hats were pretty cool.
Okay.
Our Copa hats this year.
Those are cool. Yeah, those are cool.
Hat is pretty cool. So we get a lot of cool hats. I like the Chesapeake, the new hats this year. I like the black B hat that we get.
Okay,
that's pretty cool.
The it's funny because I think about it's really ironic. We just had on Malik Hamm from the Ravens, who was a Lafayette guy. You're a Lehigh guy, right? Like, so I should have probably tried to create a blood feud between the two of you when he was on with us. But like the Patriot League thing, the smaller school thing, like it's still, I don't know, it's not that. I know like Noah Song from Navy is obviously having success again this year. But what does that part of this mean to you? Like, people don't associate like Patriot League baseball with, that's not where you go to become a major leaguer necessarily. What does it mean to you to kind of represent for not just Lehigh, but for maybe that entire conference, that entire league?
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud to have gone to Lehigh. I loved it there. I think I developed a lot as a player there, and I really wouldn't change my college career for anything, going to a bigger school or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, some of my teams at Lehigh, we had some really great pitchers there. Mason Black, who's been in the big leagues with the Giants. Matt Swanson, who made his debut this year with the Cardinals, and he's been up for a little bit as a reliever. So Carlos Torres, he's in Double-A with the Rockies. So I do have some teammates that are making some waves in the minor leagues, and we're all very proud of being from Lehigh and maybe not going to an SEC school like a lot of our teammates. So
that's awesome, man.
I wouldn't.
Now you're. Am I correct that you're like a Pittsburgh guy though?
No. So
okay.
I'm actually in Greenfield Township, which is in northeast Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. All right.
because it is different.
Yeah. Oh, that's massively different. I was really afraid that like we were going to have a real problem. We're going to have to make you like swear off the Steelers or something like that. Now that you're in this organization, I'm glad that that's not. So then, are you I'm assuming that's still Eagles country up there.
Yeah, I'm an Eagles fan.
Okay, I can live with that. Like we actually have this like weird, almost like cousin relationship with Philadelphia, where we're like, yeah, we're cool. We like your food. We like your vibe. Like. You know, we kind of respect like going and getting a running back and having a mobile quarterback. Like that, those are things that we can kind of spiritually agree with here in Baltimore. Like
Similar accents too.
Yeah, we're good with that. That kind of works out. Like, and I got to imagine that's been really cool for your I know it's not close, but it's probably given more of your family and friends an opportunity to come see you pitch, or it's not a pitch. Sorry, come see you play, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of minor league baseball and the entirety of the United States, it's pretty much as close as you can get affiliate-wise. I mean, Delmarva's close, Aberdeen's close. I mean, it's like 3.5 hours from where I'm from.
Yeah.
So
it gives
not
them that.
Close,
right.
In the grand scheme of everything, it's pretty much as close as you can get.
No, they don't have to fly, right? Like they would have the opportunity to maybe make a weekend out of it and come see you, which is really cool. And I joke, I accidentally said pitch. I did. You pitched at some point this year, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, when was that was the first time you had pitched since when?
Probably like 8th grade, I would say.
How does that? I am always fascinated by this because the Orioles have been turning to Luis Vazquez, and he's actually been great. Like he hasn't given up a run in 3 1/3 innings this year. But how does that work? Like, do you have like a volunteer list that you go over, or does somebody just inform you like, no, dude, you're up, you're getting tapped on the shoulder, you got to go in this inning?
Yeah, I think we had some rain that week, and some stuff happened with our pitching where we had to like burn a pitcher or two in a spot where we didn't want to. So we had to finish the game, and I just went out there and I was throwing, I think, like 35 miles an hour. Unfortunately, we were losing at the time. I was throwing super slow, and I got a guy 0-2, and I tried to sneak one by him, and I ended up unfortunately hitting him with the pitch.
You went right back to lobbing. Do you try to put a game face on in that spot, or do you just like acknowledge the hilarity of it and like laugh after you? Like, how do you handle that moment?
I mean, I try to have fun with it. At the time, we were losing the game, so I didn't want to kind of act everything was fine.
Yeah.
Joke around because we were losing, but I mean, I did enjoy it a little bit. It's a very weird feeling being on the mound compared to where I'm used to playing, but it was fun at the end of the day. And unfortunately, my ERA, I think, is an 18 right now. So.
I'm gonna have to work on that. Gonna have to work on that if there's more. Hey, great weekend to get out and see the Baysox this weekend. A lot of 4th of July festivities, including fireworks tonight. Some great fireworks tomorrow as well, and a Colton Cowser bobblehead giveaway tomorrow. And then on Sunday, this might be the best giveaway that anyone is doing throughout all of baseball this season. It's called Mullet Mania. Fans 13 and over on Sunday will receive a free patriotic headband with a mullet attached. It's awesome. I saw it yesterday. It's tremendous. You've got to get yours. Rock it the rest of the summer. Get to Baysox.com in order to get your tickets. Great weekend to get out to the ballpark. Adam, are you on social media anywhere, Twitter, Instagram, that Orioles fans can be giving you a follow?
I'm on Instagram, but I don't really post a ton. I'm not building my brand too much, so my Instagram is just my name, but that's really all I got.
Follow him, don't follow him. He doesn't care. That's what he's saying. Do it, don't, whatever. Adam, best of luck as the season goes on. Congratulations on the success that you found. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Adam Retzbach of the Chesapeake Baysox. Appreciate him doing that. All right, we are winding down for a Thursday edition of GCR. When we come back in, I don't think Alex prepared a tidbit. Did you? Oh, he's got one. Look at that. Look at that. Alex did a tidbit. Very good. So we'll come back in. We'll do tidbit. We will get tubular, and we will wind down for the week. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Calling all athletes and families, don't miss Football versus Football, a free sports and wellness festival Saturday, July 19th from 10 to 6 at Baltimore Peninsula. Meet retired Ravens, other former NFL stars, and pro soccer players. Join youth sports clinics, get free health screenings, and enjoy food, music, and family fun. Powered by United Healthcare, presented by Sports Legacy Group, and supported by University of Maryland Orthopedics and 1-800-GAMBLER.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
Summer just got a whole lot merrier at Live Casino. Win your share of $30,000 during Christmas in July. Earn entries starting July 1st. Dash in on Saturday, July 26th to be one of 50 winners to unwrap top-of-the-line electronics, home appliances, free play, and other great gifts. Go all in on good cheer at Live Casino. At Erndale Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, we celebrate the first ever Baltimore basketball player to reach the Naismith Hall of Fame as we talk to those who knew Carmelo Anthony best about how his Baltimore upbringing shaped his legendary career. Also inside, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens second-round pick Mike Green, and find our annual summer travel section with information on some of the best sporting events and activities in Maryland that your family can check out all summer long. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR and winding down for a Thursday edition of the program. Quick reminder, we will be off tomorrow. I am away next week. Griffin is going to be doing some shorter shows with some of our favorite guests like Stan the Fan and Ken Zales and Luke Jackson, and that'll be throughout Tuesday through Friday. At 10 a.m., he'll be doing some shorter shows so that there are shows while I'm gone. They won't be full shows, to be fair. I mean, do we really want to talk about
2 hours of just Griffin?
Oh, yeah, that too, right?
Oh,
like
bad.
No, you can
Just
say
kidding,
it.
Griffin. I
You can
love
say-
you.
He's coming right for your job, bro. You go away for 1 week, Alex is taking aim. He's like, there's a new sheriff in town, baby. But yeah, there will be some shows next week, and then I will be back the following Monday. I don't think Griffin and I will not be together again for a show until like the end of the month.
Wow.
Because Griffin's got all of the vacation. But looking forward to that, and I'll be with you, and I'll be trying to get some content up as well at PressBoxOnline.com. So enjoy your holiday weekend. We're making it a 4-day weekend. I'm making it like a 17-day weekend, more or less. So that's the reality for vacation shows. Tidbit. I actually had prepared a quiz for you today.
All right, let's do both.
All right, I like this. Tidbit is brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Everything you need to know about high school sports. So news this summer, coaching changes, and they'll start getting football previews up. You can find it, CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. So what I had for you was very simplistic. We, of course, reached the All-Star break in the PLL.
Yes.
Everyone is either 3-2 or 2-3, which is wild.
That is wild.
It's wild. Everyone in the league is 3-2, or 2-3. Every team. But I was going to give to you, how many of the top 10 points getters this year in the PLL do you think you could name?
Oh God, dude.
This is your world, bro. This is your world.
All right, let's start off with the crease guys because they're getting a lot of points anyway. Xander Dixon.
Xander Dixon is not in the top. He's nowhere to be found. I've got everybody who has at least 10 points this season.
Jake Taylor.
Jake Taylor is not either. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
All right, well,
now, remember, crease guys probably not getting like 2-point goals. Although,
yeah.
Oh, you know what? As I look, there's not a lot of 2-point. There's only 2 2-point goals in the top 10. 3. Take it back. 3.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
All right, so now I'm gonna work on assist and goals here. Who's gonna be getting just
I would tell you,
points?
of the 10, 9 are attackers.
Yeah.
Only 1 is a midfielder.
I figured.
Yeah.
Is the one midfielder Tom Schreiber?
It's not Tom Schreiber. That's a great guess. Tom Schreiber has 11 points this year.
Okay, so start with the attack. Connor Schellenberger.
Connor Schellenberger is currently 5th.
Okay.
He has, or he's tied for 4th. He has 18.
Logan Wisnauskas.
Logan Wisnauskas only has 11 points as well. He and Tom Schreiber.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Okay.
I mean, I feel like you should be getting these guys.
Dude, I've been watching more Orioles than I've been watching PLL.
Look at you. Look at you.
Oh, man. Are any of them rookies?
There are 2 Whip Snakes, including a Whip Snakes rookie on this list.
Who'd they draft? All right. 2 Whip Snakes.
Yes.
It's not Bernhard because he just got signed.
Well, he's not a Whip Snake either. He's
not? Oh,
he's an outlaw, yes.
Oh, dude.
All
right, so I got 1. I'm going to try to at least try to go
for 10. 1 for 10.
Dude, I can't even name players.
Like the
right
top
now.
5, I feel like.
Like I'm actually blanking. Let me get a hint.
One, I believe you were teammates with his brother.
What?
I believe, right? Didn't his brother play it? Hang on a second. Let me double check this. Hang on a second. I'm almost certain that I remember this. Yeah. Now, I don't remember if it was when you were hurt. And hang on a second. I'm just confirming that I'm not going crazy here. Yeah. He definitely was. Was he only that? Maybe he was only there 2022. Maybe that's his brother Andrew played at Stevenson.
Andrew.
And it might have only been 2022. He might have only been there 1 year.
Wait. I know this guy.
You definitely know this guy.
Like I know the guy that you're talking about who went to Stevenson. I don't know the last name. Andrew.
I can't believe you're not coming up with this one.
Is it bad? Like, is it really?
It's really bad, bro.
Gosh.
Oh, this is painful. I thought you were gonna.
Oh, Michael Sowers.
Thank you.
Michael Sowers.
Was his brother only
Yes.
at Stevenson for the 1 year?
I never got to play with him, but I think it was the year before me.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
I heard some Heard some stories. He was a good guy.
So Mikey Sowers, you got 2 with some help.
Okay, Michael Sowers.
There
who
again,
did I say? Connor Schellenberger.
you got Connor Schellenberger. Oh God, the number 2 is a whip snake.
How was number 2 a whip snake?
By way of Penn State. Recent guest of the program. Was Rookie of the Year last year in the PLL.
I mean, I'm just.
How am I the guy?
Name. I'm just blanking on.
How
the
am
name.
I the guy here? Undersized guy.
TJ Malone.
TJ Malone.
Okay.
Number 2 with 21 points behind Michael Sowers.
Who's
24.
the other guy from Penn State? He's got to be in the top 10.
You're thinking of Grant Ament, I assume.
Ament.
Grant Ament is not in the top 10.
A wicked stroke.
Yeah. Number 3, a Notre Dame legend.
Garnsey?
No.
Yeah,
More of a legend.
More?
Yes.
Oh, Pat, Chris, which one?
Pat
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh. Yes, Lord.
We're
getting there. We're getting there. Number 4, considered by many to be the best overall lacrosse player in the world. With the Atlas, he's a Canadian, so he also plays box and.
Oh wait, I know a guy that's fitting this description except for the Atlas. Is Josh Byrne on the list?
Josh Byrne is not on the list.
Dang. He plays for the Atlas.
Number 4, played at Cornell.
Cursed.
No, he's actually, I think, just finally playing. I don't think Hurst has actually played yet this year.
Huh.
If I remember, I think he's been hurt.
I didn't know that. Guy went to Cornell.
Guy that went to Cornell, considered by many to be the best overall player in the world because he plays both box and field and is truly great at both. Jeff Teat.
Oh,
Jeff Teat.
Peter.
Jeff Teat. It's rough.
Yeah, he set the record 2 years ago, right, for the most points in the PLS season. I'm pretty sure. So I
think that's right. I think that's right.
Like 70
we're gonna call it on this. With this one,
Did I
this
get the
is
top
going.
5?
Well, kinda, yeah, because I told you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aiden Carroll is the other whip snake on the lists. The rookie. Yep. There you go. Well, that was painful. Let's see how this goes.
Sorry. All right. The announcers were talking about it last night on the Orioles and Rangers broadcast. Most franchises played for the MLB. Have you done this before?
No.
Okay, so there's 11 people that have played for more than 11 teams. So I'm talking 12 and up.
I guarantee Edwin Jackson is on that list.
He is number 1.
Yeah.
He's number 1. 14 franchises played for.
I'm not sure I can name anyone else on the list.
Okay.
So there's 11 guys.
There's 11 guys
that have played for
11 or more.
11 or more.
Most of them have played for 12. There's 3 with 13 and 1 with 14. You already got the guy.
Rich Hill, I think, is on that list.
Rich Hill had 13 teams.
So we did this with Patrick Stevens, where we played the Can You Guess? And I remember these being some of the more exaggerated ones. I don't know that I can name anybody else that's on this list.
Okay.
11 or more.
The last guy was active, or second to the last guy was active in 2013, from 1990 to 2013. His last team he played for was the Detroit Tigers, and his first team was the New York Mets.
Problem is that when you play for so many teams, it's really hard to remember.
Oh yeah,
none of them really stand out in any way.
This name is awesome. I don't know if I'm going to say it right.
I can't. I don't know.
Can I say it?
Sure.
Octavia.
Oh, Octavia Dotel. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
All right, then we'll do the last one that's got 13. Wait, no, there's 2 that more than 13.
There's 2 more
than
13.
Oh, no, you got Rich
I got Rich Hill.
So there's one more guy who played for 13 teams, and this is, 1924 to 1945.
Not getting this. That's not going to happen. Who is it?
Old Roosevelt Davis, right-handed pitcher.
We could have been here for 6 years, and I would not have gotten Roosevelt Davis. Are any of the rest of them modern?
Let's see. The last guy on the list finished in 2011. He played for 12 teams.
12 teams.
Right fielder, pinch hitter, and first baseman.
I bet pinch hitter does a lot of work in that. Doing a lot of work in that.
His first team was the Montreal Expos.
Not a team anymore.
His last team was the Nationals.
Well, how about coming full circle like that? That's the same franchise.
Is it actually?
Yes.
Hey.
I don't. Henry Rodriguez. I don't.
Matt Stairs.
Oh, Matt Stairs. Oh, I know. Matt Stairs played for a ton of teams, but it's that. This is a ball buster, man. Like,
never Baltimore though.
Yeah, somehow, some way, not Baltimore. Rich Hill was an Oriole at one point.
Yep, and so was Jackson.
Edwin Jackson was an Oriole?
Yeah.
I don't remember Edwin Jackson as an Oriole at all. That's hilarious.
2017 to 2017. Maybe.
They did. You know what? That is true. But did he actually pitch for the Orioles, or was he just? I think he might have just been a minor league signee. I don't think he actually ever pitched for the Orioles.
Yeah, I'm not getting a lot of information.
I think that might be a Johan Santana situation where like he was. Hang on a second. Now I got to do Edwin Jackson work. Edwin Jackson. I don't think he did. Edwin Jackson.
Hey,
said
he
2017.
went to Shaw High School in Columbus, Georgia.
I was wrong. Edwin Jackson made 3 appearances for the Orioles. He pitched 5 innings. Holy crap. Pitched 5 innings in 2017 for the Baltimore Orioles. That is wild, dude. That is wild. All right, can we call it there?
Yes.
Yeah, let's get tubular. Why don't we do that instead?
Okay, everybody, it's going to be quick today.
What was the main focus today, Coach?
Fundamentals, ball control. It's always huge.
Any early thoughts on the competition this year?
Well, look, this is the best of the best players in the world. It's going to be an amazing tournament.
Tournament?
Yeah, the BMW Championship at Caves Valley. What are you guys talking about? All they ever ask me about is football.
By the way, Joe, I completely disagree. Way more difficult that Alex didn't know what holiday this week than that he didn't know who the top 10 scorers were in the PLL this year. I mean, some of the hints that I gave him that he was still struggling, that was tough. But, like, way more is not close to as brutal that, like, on the 2nd of July, we talked about the holiday that was coming up this weekend, and he said, what holiday? I wouldn't even rank it with Where's New England? I wouldn't even rank it. Like, it's not Alex's job to follow the PLL every week. Like, I get it. He's a lacrosse player, so you think but that's a different conversation. Disagree. I don't think it goes even in the greatest hits.
The thing with me is I'm watching the finals of every game, right? So, like, or the finals of every sport. So, like, hockey finals.
Okay. But you don't watch anything. You're not going to watch anything until then?
So, like, the PLL.
The problem with the PLL is that, like, when it gets to the playoffs, that's when football's starting.
Yeah,
so it's like it's more difficult to be paying attention then.
And then it's like 2
I'm
games.
way more inclined to pay attention now when there's less going on than I am at the end of the year.
I mean, I haven't watched a sports game since, just the Orioles last night. Since before then, probably. When I was working.
You were watching last night ready to come in and talk about the Orioles, and then they didn't score a run, and there's nothing to talk about.
So to that pitcher, he just doesn't throw over 95?
Which one? Sagano? Yeah, he's not a velocity guy at all. Not at all. I mean, he's 35. He's pitched in Japan his entire career.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
But, like, they're just like teeing off on him, right?
Yes, they were. Well, I mean, recently they've been teeing off. The first couple of months, he was pitching quite well, and then the last month, it has been a disaster. A disaster for old Tomo. All right, we'll kind of go over today and a little bit of what's coming up this weekend. ESPN right now for Wimbledon. EDGE Malik dropped the first set to American Katie McNally, and it has been a bloodbath for seeded women's players at Wimbledon, so could be another really interesting one. EDGE Malik does have a break early in the second set, so we'll see how that goes. Women's Euro continues. Who got wins yesterday? Hang on a second. Wins for Jeremy Kahn as Finland picked up a victory, and Gonzalez got a win with Norway yesterday. So they're on the board in our competition. Today, Belgium, Italy at noon on FS1. Fox has Spain, Portugal at 3. Baseball you can find at glennclarkradio.com. There's really not a whole lot else going on today. Maybe you should be like me, go see like the BSO tonight. That's how you spend
What's the BSO?
The Baltimore Symphony Orchestra.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing their annual 4th of July thing at the Oregon Ridge, and we're taking the family to that.
Right.
So looking forward to that. The rest of the weekend, tubular-wise, bunch of stuff. Orioles, Braves. Tomorrow night, 7:15 on Masson. Saturday, 4:10 on Masson 2. Sunday, it's the Roku game, So 11:35 a.m. for Orioles Braves on Sunday. Wimbledon continues on ESPN, and I think it bumps over to ABC. The PLL All-Star Game is Saturday at 1 on ESPN, and then the Gold Cup final between the U.S. and Mexico Sunday night at 7 on Fox. We'll get Tubular posted for today and for the rest of the weekend at glennclarkradio.com so you can see everything else that's going on.
Do you think Jackson Holliday is going to hit a homer this series?
Is that relevant to you?
Because I was thinking about making a bet.
Oh, you get the whole? Do you get the whole series?
I want you to root for Holliday as much as I'm.
You are all in on Jackson Holliday, but is that? Did you? What came first, the chicken or the egg? Did you buy the jersey because you were excited about Jackson Holliday, or did you get excited about Jackson Holliday because you bought the jersey?
Because I bought the jersey.
Okay, so that's the entirety of the reason.
I was like, yo, like. Whose jersey should I buy?
But how are you? But again, where are your rooting? Your rooting interest would be against him hitting a home run this weekend.
I want him to hit a home run
and the Orioles to lose all 3 games.
No.
But you're a Braves fan.
But if they lost all 3, then like this is where like the bet would come in.
Right.
I want to make a bet because I want you to root for Jackson
Jackson. You don't have to
Holiday.
pretend to be an Orioles fan because
I am
you're
an
here.
Orioles fan.
Yeah, but you're a legit Braves fan.
But I'm a real Holiday fan.
Okay. It's a weird bit, Alex. This
So,
is a very strange.
Jackson Holliday hits a home run.
Uh-huh.
I have to get a tattoo with it.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Wait.
That's how bad I want you to root for. Holliday.
Wait, what?
If he homers,
you're gonna get what? A Jackson Holliday tattoo?
like the frame of him like swinging.
If he hits a home run this weekend.
Versus the Braves.
You know you don't have. This just sounds like you want to do this.
But I want you to root for Holliday. Like,
well, I'm rooting for Jack. I assure you, I'm rooting for Jackson Holliday. I promise you, I want Jackson Holliday to have success. But this is very strange. I didn't ask you to do this.
But you have to get a tattoo.
Wait. Oh, I'm getting. If he hits a home run,
if he doesn't hit a home run.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What? Yes. I'm not rooting for him. If I'm rooting, wait, this doesn't make any sense. You want me to root for him?
Yeah.
So,
but if he doesn't, then wouldn't that make sense? Like if he doesn't get a home run, like if me and you don't root hard enough for him, then
I don't have
any tats?
I don't have any tats.
You don't.
Which
want
is
one?
not. It's not like even like I'm terribly opposed to the idea of getting tattoos. It's just like I reached a certain age and I didn't have any, so I was like, this is where I would say it's difficult. If I get a tattoo, I have my childhood best friend passed away. I've talked before about getting a tattoo that would be related to him.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go the tattoo route with you for Jackson Holliday. I also did say that if the Orioles win a World Series in the next 5 years, I get an Orioles-related tattoo.
Okay.
Because I was a month old the last time the Orioles won a World Series. I haven't. It happened in my lifetime, but only technically happened in my lifetime.
That's
so
rough.
Yeah. If they win a World Series. It's the thing I've seen the Ravens win 2 Super Bowls. Like I saw Maryland basketball win a national championship. I've never had that in my life. So I've said in the next 5 years if they win a World Series, although I said that like 2 years ago, so I think we're down to 3 years for that. I won't join you on tattoo.
Okay.
But I'll join you on something. If Jackson, because I want him to hit a home run. So if he hits a home run this weekend. Also, if he hits a home run and they get swept, I don't want to celebrate that. Damn it! We got to think this through. I'm going to probably need you to come back in and produce another show later this month.
Okay.
So let's think about that a little bit more. All right?
All right.
And we'll come up with something then. Thank you for your hard work.
Of course.
Where are you on social? You're Alex Wilson _,
Alex
correct?
Wilson _ on Instagram.
On Instagram is where people can find you. Thanks today to Adam Retzbach. Thanks also to Malik Hamm of the Ravens. Thanks to Sam Dykstra, as well as to Connor Newcomb. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the
Galveston. No, my bad.
That was not even a good Barkley that time.
My bad.
It was like you.
Yeah. Galveston. We ain't sending them to no beach. They got to go down to that dirty water.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
That ain't no beach.
I appreciate that effort. Tab at glennclarkradio.com. Again, we'll be off the rest of the week and then through Monday. And then Griffin's back with you on Tuesday, and we'll be doing some shorter shows next week. I'll be back the following Monday. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Game Day Men's Health, the Maryland 5-Star, Live Casino and Hotel, the BMW Championship, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Baltimore's Classic 5 Golf Courses, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costa Sin, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin still, I guess, at Griffin _Bass. Thanks to Alex. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great, great weekend. Remember, if you are near a pool with your children, 2 seconds is too long. Do not take your eyes off of them when you are at the pool at any point. If you're taking your kids to a pool, don't drink. You're the parent. You need to be responsible. No drinking and driving this weekend. Be safe with your fireworks, but happy 4th.